afternoon, ROLFers. I would like to welcome all of you to ROLF Youth Social Responsibility Program 2021, organized by Rainbow of Life Forces Orange Ribbon Committee in support of the International Youth Day. I'm Adeline Lim, the person in charge of Rainbow of Life Forces campaign, or in short, we call it ROLF, R-O-L-F. ROLF turns 15 this year. Can you imagine? It's a very long journey, 15 years of community work. And many of you here have been working with ROLF for a long time, so I don't have to introduce much about the campaign, but please allow me to give a brief introduction to the new participants and viewers. Rainbow Life Forces was launched in year 2007. It is a community project that focuses on how small acts can help to make this world a better place for the marginalized children and youth. ROLF consists of 7 smaller campaigns. Blue Ribbon is an awareness campaign to bring attention to life-threatening childhood diseases. Orange Ribbon is for youth social responsibility. Gold Ribbon is a Grant a Wish campaign, and so far we have granted approximately 9,000 wishes of the underprivileged children worldwide. Green Ribbon is about environmental education for the children and youth. Yellow Ribbon is a gratitude campaign. We encourage people to say thank you. The Purple Ribbon supports educational programs for the underprivileged children. Red Ribbon is providing aid supports to children in emergency cases like earthquakes, tsunami, or pandemic. We have been upkeeping a few very important principles throughout this campaign, not only in Malaysia, but everywhere we go. First, there's no fundraising activities in public, no cash donation, no commercial promotions, no ceremonial protocol or red carpet reception for all the activities. The campaign is fully funded by my own group of companies, CreatiVision, and you may visit our website, www.rolfcommunity.org for the details. So today we meet here to support the International Youth Day, which falls on 12th August every year. Knowledge can certainly improve our life. It also can save life. So please share this platform with your fellow students or your friends, okay? And the theme of the International Youth Day set by United Nations this year is Transforming Food System, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health. And the success of global effort will not be achieved without the meaningful participation of young people like you guys, of course, like us too, okay? So in support of this movement, ROLF is hosting a Zoom meet to discuss the transformation of food systems that prioritize nutrition through high quality diets while protecting the environment. So before we start this discussion, let me introduce some of our special guests. And thank you guys for being here with us today. Thank you. You guys feeling young? Should be, right? Okay, Mr. Katie Gelson, a lawyer by profession. He is the former Minister of Tourism and Land Revenue and the former Speaker of the Sikkim Legislative Assembly. Mr. Katie Gelson, say hi to everyone.
Hi guys, hi everyone. Welcome to the show.
Okay, Dr. Kel Chuang, background in aerospace engineering and civil engineering. His career spans from working for NASA and designing spacecrafts in the United States to being on Malaysia's first satellite program. So he was also a professor in 3 universities in Malaysia before retiring, and now he has become an enthusiast in organic and urban farming. Dr. Chuang, say hi.
Hello, how are you?
Miss Tan Yi Ting, Master of Science in Applied Human Nutrition. She is introduced to ROLF by Dr. Carol Yip from Managed Care. Say hi, Miss Tan.
Hi, everyone. Good
Hello.
afternoon.
Hello.
Okay, then we have Mr. Anthony Ang, a chartered secretary, the founder
Hi,
of
everyone.
High Strong Design Syndrome Berhad that specialize in green living.
Thank you, Adeline. You let me feel very young today. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay, this one I need to introduce a very loud voice, Chef Melvin Lee. a
Yo, what's
celebrity
up,
chef.
guys?
He's a celebrity chef from Singapore who is also a green warrior, the muscle man. Show them your muscle, okay?
Not now, when we get closer, maybe.
Okay, and my very good friend, Chef Azad Johari, a very famous YouTuber in Malaysia who promotes traditional cooking and food on her YouTube channel, Senduk Kayu. Say hi.
Hello,
Hey, let's give
everyone.
it up. Oh, why everybody like so
Thank
quiet
you.
like that? Like library, this place.
Make some noise.
Because I think we mute the young YouTubers because it's a lot of noise really. Okay, both chefs are promoting healthy cooking, especially the farm to table concept. So that's why they are here today to enlighten us in some important issues. I'm very pleased to welcome ROLF Live Influencers, the winners of ROLF Cook on Budget program, and our young ROLFers from Central India, from Ladakh, from Sikkim, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Somalia, Sweden, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Many. I'm very glad that you guys are here today. So the objective of this program are first, improving nutrition, adopting eco-friendly eating that have more positive impact on the environment and our community, promoting environmental sustainability by composting and planting our own vegetables and fruits, reducing food waste, and supporting small farmers and local produce. So this is an interactive platform for you. We skip all the protocols and speeches. We are going to start the discussion with the youth. There are some youth that representing their countries. Let me read these names. And when I read this name, please unmute yourself, okay? Because the following questions is for all of you. I come up with a question and all of you have the chance to say something, okay, about your country. So from Bhutan, Mr. Saha. Nepal, Ms. Pasang Chodon. Malaysia, Ms. Jai. Indonesia, Mr. Reno. Malaysia, Suhaili. Northern India, Tashi. Delhi, Tinlay. Ladakh, Tenzin. Sikkim, Bandanastrama. Miss Fariza from Bangladesh. Miss Sadia also from Bangladesh. Miss Oma from Somalia. Miss Chaudhuri, Bangladesh. Mr. Ahmad, Sweden. Mr. Eugene Lim, the National Partnership Head of Community Project, ISEC Malaysia, and his team members. Okay, let me introduce ISEC a little bit. ISEC, spelled AIESEC, is a global platform for young people to develop their leadership potential through international internships and volunteer opportunities. Founded in 1948, ISEC is a non-governmental and not-for-profit organization entirely run by youth for youth. I see the list, the name list, we all come from the countries which got hit hard by the COVID-19. So how vulnerable are the local food systems in your community during this pandemic? Does it affect the farmers much because of the lockdown? Is there a surge on food price? So who wants to go first?
Start first?
Yes, and you have to tell us your name first.
Okay. All right. My name is Wan Sohaili Azri. You guys can call me Lee. So I'm representative of ROLF in Malaysia. So how vulnerability are the local food system in community during this pandemic? So in my view, our people just go to the market to buy some groceries, basic groceries, and other basic supply for living. But during this pandemic, we got lockdown, and this will slow down the gardening activities, the supplier market, and what we call import export. So it will be disrupt the supply chains. So when this happens, people tend to consume on unhealthy meals such as canned food, junk food. So this directly lead to health issue. So as we know that type of food not contain too much health, too much nutritious that our body need. but it contain more on artificial additive seasoning. Yes, so we're also afraid our food is contaminated since virus COVID-19 we are able to spread through air. So we don't know where the food coming from, so how it being processed. So the best is we try to plant ourselves. That's my view. Plant ourselves in urban farming project in our backyard, so it be more safe nowadays. So that's my view on that vulnerability on local food system. Thank you.
Reynald, how are you?
Hi, all
You're
good.
back to Indonesia? Which part of
Yeah.
Indonesia?
I'm in Jakarta right now.
So how is the condition there?
Yeah, I have some cheat sheet right here to share. Okay. So I think from Indonesia, the verdict I would say from a layman's perspective is that I haven't felt any sign of vulnerability, or maybe they have transitioned really well, but I doubt. I think it's more of the former. And I think the main reason is that Indonesia is an archipelago. So the spread of COVID is very segregated into different islands. I have been traveling a bit since early 2020 to today. And the COVID impact and severity in different islands is really differs a lot. For example, now I'm in Jakarta. I really that's probably the first location where the COVID impact is the most severe, and I have not hear nor feel any problem on the food system. But from a consumer perspective, we definitely see a shift on the behavior. For example, the number of takeaways have increased dramatically, and then more people have shifted to home cooked meal because most people are working from home if they are able to. I myself, for example, learned how to cook in this 2 years period. But grocery shopping, the process to obtain the raw materials have also shifted. So they have shifted from local wet market, what we know as pasar, where things are generally cheaper, to more online, large retail chain supermarket that they deem and feel safer. So this is especially true on people that have the privilege and can afford those activity. So this really shows a huge difference in the consumer's priority and their exposed COVID risk. For example, people that go to local wet market, generally they are less controlled and it's more dense and they are on a higher exposure risk to COVID. And then also I've seen people that started growing more food themselves, especially on hydroponics related planting, because lands are scarce, not everyone can afford land. And then looking at the food producers perspective, I think, are there changes to food producer? Yes. So for example, hydroponics farming technique where most of the client, they are deemed to be more expensive, usually the produce, but more healthier. Their customer used to be, let's say, Korean barbecue restaurant chain, where they can afford these more good looking and healthier, fresher vegetable. But since COVID, that has not been the priority. And some of my friends that are running this business has really felt the impact. But on the downside as well, there's an upside to, let's say, people that are producing and generally are selling to retail and consumer goods sector. They have experienced an increase in demand over there. And of course, there are some that fail to adapt and lose their business or stop their food production. So another perspective, as I say, Indonesia, because of the different island, in my hometown, where it's quite an underdeveloped area in Indonesia, where actually my parent is living now, they have just begin to feel the COVID impact recently, like maybe last month. So we can see the transition and in human behavior, how they adapt to this situation. For example, the local wet market closed down. So more of them are now open to embrace delivery, transition to of business where more people are starting to sell food on Instagram, for example. So I think the local food production is not affected there yet. And also one of the last point is because Indonesia, fish is one of our main food source. So while as long as the people working in that food chains are not affected by COVID, I think that has not stopped the local food systems supply yet. Yeah, I think that's my view on Indonesia's situation.
Thank you, Renaud. I will come back to you later. And I know that Bhutan is a very so-called very safe country for COVID for the time being. So what do you say, Miss Saha? Sorry, I got your name right. Yeah. Mr. Saha, are you in here?
Mute.
Mr. Saha, I think you need to unmute yourself first, yeah?
Yes. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Sahavish from Bhutan. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, very good.
Okay. Then let me few things about Bhutan. Due to our great leader, King, and as well as Prime Minister, they are doing great to control and prevent from COVID, actually positive case of corona. Due to that, we're getting much care and concern about from our leader, and we're not that much affected also. So let me talk a little bit about the topic here. Local food system during community system during this pandemic. Because of that pandemic, corona positive cases arises at India, neighboring country, and at the same time, we're not able to make ready everything because COVID itself is coming sudden, and we are not able to arrange everything before lockdown. So we face a lot of challenges and difficulties for that. And at the same time, we stopped, and they usually stop importing of the goods, especially rice, vegetables, green vegetables, fresh vegetables, all these things. And we were not able to get all fresh vegetables at the immediately. At the same time, we face our self-sufficiency challenges. Before that, we did not realize that we'll have to face this type of challenges, and at the same time, it's give us to face whether we are self-sufficiently doing or not. Because of that, we came to know that it's all because of COVID. We're learning something that we need to be ready for every time, and at the same time, we learned whether we knew that whether we are having self-sufficiency or not. At the same time, because of certain lockdowns, we face a lot of difficulties, and that during that times there was a lot of transportation charges increased, and we were locked down different department different districts, and we were not allowed to move from one district to another. And during that lockdown also, we are not able to get fresh vegetables and all these things whenever we need. And another one is because of COVID, there was lockdown almost more than 3 to 4 months, some areas, some district. Because of that, some small market they are vandalizing. They stopped to do business, which highly affect the livelihood of people of Bhutan. Even though we are safe from COVID, corona, or even though we are safe from COVID, and we're not getting that much affected by COVID, still then, but people of Bhutan, we are suffering from livelihood, especially small business and all these things. We should stop that. because there is lack of customer.
Thank you. I see Jia Yi from Malaysia. Are you back from Thailand, Jia Yi?
Yeah,
She
I
was
was
in
just
the
back
farm
from
in
The
Thailand.
senator from
So I think I can share a bit on Thailand and also Malaysia context, because I think 1 year ago when I was in Thailand, I was working in a farm as an intern for 6 months. And that time, right, I didn't feel any impact, like COVID impact on me as a student or even like as a youth on there, because I actually have been like having a lot of good supply or even like vegetables or all the stuff around me. And I'm actually quite free there. Like even though it's still locked down over there, I cannot go out and all those stuff, right? But then I feel much more less stressful compared to when I just come back to Malaysia. Because when I just come back to Malaysia, I think it's July last year, I actually can feel the stressful or even like the food supply chain is a bit different from Thailand. Yeah, because in Thailand, I actually we are much more self-sustained, because we plant what we eat what we plant, and also we actually eat the seasonal food. So it's much more I would say the impact is lesser compared to in Malaysia, because in Malaysia I'm a consumer basis, right? So what is the things that I need to rely on the wet market, such as like a pasar or even like any how to say, like shopping mall buying, like those kind of food purchasings, right? But then right now in Malaysia, especially my community over there, because I also living like more or less is live near to rural area. So most of the time that our vegetables, like the numbers of varieties of vegetables is getting lesser coming to my village, yeah, or even like my community, due to some logistic arrangement and all those food productions basis, right? And I also understand that Cameron Highland is actually one of our vegetables, like source of vegetables, right? But then due to logistic arrangement, we are not able to send our vegetables, that create a food wastage there, and also like a surplus of food, like the raw materials that is not being sent out or even like sent to across Malaysia. So I think we are still the privileged community that is able to access to like those e-commerce buying for vegetables and all stuff. But then I still believe that there's a lot of people that is not able to access to this food, and food security is something kind of like increasing in Malaysia, where we really need to solve this issue by having some of the self-sustaining projects in our home, like start from your backyard planting. Because I think from when I come back, I also start some composting projects with my family, like to do some composting or even like start to have some plantation ourselves. Because I think this is very important for nowadays, because when you know what you have planted and you know how you take care of the plants, vegetables, you are actually eating more healthy and also more consciously, yeah, from buying outside, right? Yeah, that's all from me. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Adeline.
Thank you, Jai. Anyone from India that's ready to talk about your conditions there and in this topic? Is Tenzin, Tinley, anyone there?
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Tenzin.
Hello.
Yes. Before I touch the topic of Ice Stupa, tell us
Okay.
what happens in India right now.
Okay. Let me express you all regarding the situation in India these days. It's quite under control. I just want to express regarding Ladakh during the pandemic, and when it comes to the food supply system during the pandemic, though I guess we didn't faced any difficulties in having the food system in Ladakh, because Ladakh is a region which is mostly cut off from the rest of the world due to heavy snowfalls in the mountains of passes. So we have the ability, and we have a habit to sustain our own food, because we didn't get much food from outside the Ladakh during the winter time. So we have various methods to survive on our own organic farms. So it was quite similar to our winter time. When it was pandemic, all the system was locked down, and agriculture system from outside. Summer days we used to get vegetables from outside the Ladakh, but during lockdown it all gets stopped. But still, people use the technique of a winter duration, and they relied on their own veggies that they grow there on their own field. So it was not that much disastrous for Ladakhi people. And yeah, rest I will share later on much more about Ladakh. That's it. Thank you.
Since you are in this topic, then we'll go straight to the Ice Stupa, because I've told them a lot about Ice Stupa. So Ladakh is a high altitude desert in northern India. Okay, so most of us know about Ladakh because of the Ice Stupa project, and the BBC CNN reported about it. So Ice Stupa is a form of glacier drafting technique that creates artificial glaciers used for storing winter water in the form of conical shaped ice heaps. So ice stupas have been designed at various locations across Ladakh. So Stanzin is from Ladakh. So can you tell us how this technology helped Ladakhi in agriculture? And is there any improvement in farming after this project was introduced to this high altitude desert?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to express a little bit about Ladakh. Ladakh is administrated in India, and it's above 5,705 meters above sea level, which are around 18,875 feet. So it is usually famous for its breathtaking environment and crystal clear sky, thrilling adventurous activities, and many more. And it is also known as the one of the coldest desert on Earth. So, as we all know, that the biggest threat to human in this era is global warming, and the effect of global warming can be seen easily in the fragile environment like Ladakh. So, due to that, in winters, we are having very few snowfalls, and in summers, the temperature spikes very rapidly. So it was the biggest challenges for Ladakhi people, because mostly people depend on agriculture system. So it was a huge threat to the Ladakhi people. So what one of our local engineer, his name is Sonam Wangchuk. So he invented this Ice Stupa. It was in 2013, and it was initiated by His Holiness Degung Gyabgon Tinle Lunder Rinpoche for the first time at Pyang. So when the way it is formed is that they collect water, and by using a gratifying technique, they give a conical shape to the ice, or conical shape, and they form artificial glacier. The stupa is in Tibetan term. It's in Buddhist structure, which symbolize the mind of Buddha. So the shape of this stupa is in conical form, which is quite similar to stupa. So that stupa derives from that Buddhist architect. And what they do is they make a pressure to the water, and they blew up in the open atmosphere. And when the droplets of water fell down on the earth, and due to sub-zero temperature, it convert into solid and form a ice. And the collection of that small droplets makes a huge glacier, which is an artificial glacier. So it is formed in that way. And now, due to that, the agriculture system, which was facing a huge problem of water scarcity, has been solved. And because, due to increasing in heat and decreasing in snowfall, the ice and the glaciers are melting rapidly. And if we didn't collect their waters that are remaining, that are flowing through rivers in winter without any uses, because in winters we are not able to cultivate anything due to the harsh condition. And due to so winter water, when it flows through rivers, we just collect that water and give a shape to a conical shape and form artificial glacier, so that the water store can be used in summer. And it has tremendously affected the improvement of agriculture, and also solved the problems of water scarcity. And that's it about Ice Stupa and its improvement of agriculture water scarcity.
Thank you, Tenzin. Is there any question from you guys? From the guests? Melvin,
Yeah,
Dr. Chuang?
Can I ask a question here? I mean,
yes,
it appears to me that the Ice Stupa, you are collecting the snow which contains the water during winter, correct? And
yes.
time. So as you fill it up, you are saving it for the summer. That means at some point, this big Ice Stupa will melt, so that so the water is collected in some pond or something, some sort of container somewhere.
No. In winters, what we do is we just collect the water. We collect it in a conical shape way, because in winter, due to sub-zero temperature, we spray the water or blew up in the open atmosphere. When the water droplets landed on the earth, touched the earth, it's due to sub-zero temperature, it converted into ice. And that collection of ice forms a big stupa type glacier, artificial glacier. And this water is used in irrigation during May to June. Before that, it is not possible to melt, because it is not that much hot. Usually we need water in May or June.
So I suppose that the big ice glacier or whatever the cone is will melt somewhere between winter, spring, and summer, somewhere as winter goes into summer, right?
Okay.
So it will start to melt. So the water has to go somewhere.
Yeah, it goes to
gradually.
They make a canals and goes to the agricultural field, because in spring they start to cultivate the barley grains, which is traditional food for Ladakhi, and it is started in spring season. So during that, when the temperature increases, the water starts melting, so that the water flows to the agriculture fields.
Okay, the last question I have on this is from the picture, I can't really tell how tall the glacier is. That it looks like a conical shaped thing. How tall is it?
I'm not pretty sure. Usually, they every year they have a various height. So this must be not more than 80 feet. Something. I'm not pretty sure about that. 80 feet. There's something like that. I'm not sure.
Any questions for Stanzin?
Thank you.
Hi, Shanzin. I would like to know, so during summer, so that the temperature in Ladakh would be about how many Celsius?
Between 20 to 30.
Okay, so the ice will melt into water and it will run naturally into all those, is
canals.
There in the natural canals?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes, that's what I want to find out. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Any question for Stanzin? If not, then we move to another topic. So So another question is a new question. It's like, other than the pandemic, Is the climate change threatening farmers' livelihoods and food supply in your country? Yes.
So it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay. Other than the pandemic, is the climate change threatening farmers' livelihoods in your community?
Yes. Climate change is the biggest threat, and as I've mentioned earlier, that it can be easily seen in the fragile environment like Ladakh, because due to increasing in temperature, the glaciers are melting at very high speed, and due to that, we are facing too many floods in summers and very few less amount of snowfalls in winter. And due to that, the system of agriculture is getting changed. People are facing scarcity of water, and the temperature is also changing. So it is from one side, it is good because the temperature is getting warmer, and we got the opportunity to plant various types of vegetables and plants and fruits. Earlier, when maybe in 90s or before that era, Ladakh is not much popular for planting fruit trees, and they are not popular for planting their own vegetables. There are only two main crops that has been cultivated in Ladakh is barley and this buckwheat. These two are
buckwheat, okay.
These two are the main crops that used to be cultivated in Ladakh, because due to their harsh condition, it was not possible to plant more vegetables like other rest of the world. But these days, it is the positive point is that people are now cultivating various forms of vegetables, plants, and many things. But indeed, the increasing in temperature is melting the glaciers at high speed, and it is the very negative aspect that we can see in Ladakh. And also, we are very scared of too many flash floods in Ladakh in summers. Earlier days, there was no any news of having flash floods in Ladakh or no heavy rainfalls, but these days these things happen very usually. So that's the variation that we see due to the effect of this global warming.
Okay, now we move to Central India. Is Tinley there?
So, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, hi, bro. Okay, are you in Delhi right now? I think you spent quite a long time in Delhi, right?
Yeah, actually, I've been, just recently, I come back to Ladakh, but I was there at Delhi just two weeks ago.
Okay, so I just need to know that is there a surge in food price in Delhi during the pandemic?
Right now,
can you hear me? Yeah, the internet is not stable. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Is there a price surge on food?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Is there a surge on food price in Delhi during the pandemic?
Yes, of course. Like in the starting of the pandemic, just back in India, in central of Delhi, then all the the grocery and all the foods, the price increased suddenly. And I still remember when I was studying there, and usually the milk, the milk price is almost like 50 rupees, and then after the milk package price increased like 50 rupees in just 2 weeks. So it just same way all the fruit and grocery prices are really increased because lockdown started there, and a lot of people are, want to collect the grocery and all the stuffs, and like the poor, the poor residents who are living there, they will suffer a lot. They really suffer a lot than normal people, because they don't have enough money, and they don't have enough money to buy the grocery for their whole family. And which is almost most popular in India. Things in Delhi are really expensive compared to other cities in India. So, like just a few weeks ago when I was there in Delhi, but after that I come back to Ladakh. In Ladakh also I faced the same situations, and I actually I went to buy eggs, but I couldn't find any eggs in market of Ladakh, because the supply from Delhi or from like other city to Ladakh, because the road is blocked, and it was a winter time there, and natural substantial food like here, when my hometown is nomadic place, we are actually depend on the natural like domestic foods like cheese and barley flowers. So I remember like whole 2 weeks, I think whole 2 months, I think we are just depend on the what's local nomadic fruits, cheese, and like cheese, yogurt and milk and barley flour. We actually been through this way, because the food population is erupted there, and in the markets that we buy, when we want to buy the vegetable, the price are really expensive. So it's been really hard time here. Even in this kind of remote area, we really face really face difficulties. So it is needless to say that other urban cities, they really face difficult compared to this remote area. So this is all about me, about the sides of the pandemic, the how to say affections or affected that we've been through in these situations.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Tinley. I will come back to you in the next question, but I would like to know a little bit about Bangladesh. Is there anyone there that can tell us what's the condition there right now?
Yes, hello, Fariza here from
Hello,
Bangladesh.
Fariza.
So, okay, actually, like hearing from everyone, I think most of us are in a similar situation, but for Bangladesh, the situation is a bit more critical, because we are a very densely populated country where everything is agricultural centric, and our agriculture sector has been greatly impacted because of the COVID impact. Also, like as similar to Malaysia, we had the tendency of going to wet markets more than big retails. So we had this local retail chain that was under loss for the last since they got launched in 2007. So 2020 was the first year they went into profit, because that is when people started shifting to go to these retail chains, because they actually maintained very good hygiene sections. Like whoever was going to their shop, they had allocated the hours of number of people who can come at a time, and they provided sanitization while entrance and while during exit. So I live in Dhaka, and I'm working for tobacco industry, actually British American tobacco. So the thing that was different for my work was I did not see any impact of COVID, because our product, the market demand went up like anything. Our supply chain had to increase and our production got increased as well. Like I'm working directly for the production line. So there we could see that, like there was a very big transition. Like people, obviously, they were frustrated, and the consumption of tobacco increased, and supply chain. While working on our supply chain network, we found out that there were local areas that got very badly impacted because, like as you were saying, like milk is a product which we buy from local places, not the packaged ones. So now we are moving to the packaged sources. And also for, like, let's say for poultry we always depended on people who were just bringing it or selling it on the wet market. Now we are moving completely towards the retail. This has also actually increased a section. Like recently there had been a lot of farms that have opened up, and they are providing these services to us. But if we look into outside Dhaka, this is very badly impacted. For the city people, it is actually like eating out, having mamaks is not completely, it's not in our culture. We are mostly people who eat at home. We cook food at home. But for us, the thing is, food is the only entertainment that we have. So right now, when the lockdown was declared by the government, it became a very big impact on that industry, because that is also our entertainment industry. So the shops, they completely moved to cloud kitchen. For them, these services, like for Food Panda, they had a very good growth. But in terms of like shops, most of them closed down because they could not provide, like, the rentals and how the system was going on. But I think overall, if we see, if not the COVID impact, I think we have balanced it out. Like there were a lot of NGOs who came forward, and they helped these local shops that were there, and they opened some cloud areas for them. So we connected like multiple, there are like 3 or 4 platforms. What they do is, like, they take orders from us, and they have brought all of those small retailers under one cloud, and they get those from those specific shops, or also from the person who was in the retail market. Similarly for the farms as well. Like they have gone to an area where there were like a lot of farms who were producing milk, and they were selling it individually. Now they are selling it to the farm, and they are actually selling it to us. So in terms of that, I think the hygiene sector has increased in the food supply network. But yes, there is a lot of room of improvement for supply chain, in terms of bringing food from the very from the areas that is still very hard to reach. So those areas are very highly impacted. But as for Dhaka city, the supply chain had been very good, and also these initiatives have helped people a lot.
Thank you, Fariza.
Thank
Mr.
you so
Sharma from Sikkim, I know that you have something to say, right? Mr. Sharma?
Yeah, hello
Hey,
everyone.
Miss Sharma, sorry.
Okay, hello everyone. So let me introduce myself first.
Hello.
I am Miss Vandana Sharma from Sikkim, and I want to talk something about my state as I represent Sikkim. So in my opinion, I'd like to give some views. So talking to this vulnerability in this local food system, what I want to tell is, I could not see any vulnerability in our local food system, because our state Sikkim, it has been recognized all over the world as the organic state. And here, what people, most of the people, what they do is, each and every household, they here we used to produce food system, we used to produce green fruits and vegetables here without using any chemicals and fertilizers. And that helped us a lot in this pandemic situation, because before this pandemic also, we used to grow vegetables, fruits, and that is enough for our state. So yeah, what I like to say is, this pandemic, it is not affecting us in our local food. Instead, when government decided the lockdown, so everyone, we are at home, so following the proper guidelines of COVID-19, we all are engaged in producing something to keep ourselves busy and occupied, and to avoid some mental trauma, stress of this pandemic. I mean each and every household, all the people, so we all are engaged in producing something so that we eat some healthy. healthy fruits, vegetables. So I could not see any vulnerability in this local food system.
Okay, thank you. And then I have Pasang from Nepal.
Hello.
Hello, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Hello, everyone. My name is Pasang Siril, and I'm from Kathmandu, Nepal, particularly from a small village in the Himalayan region known as Limi. The novel coronavirus pandemic has affected the global food systems and led to increase in food insecurity. Nepal is a landlocked and least developed country located in South Asia. It has also been impacted by the COVID-19 in terms of human casualties, farming systems, and food security. As of August 7, 2021, Nepal had over 710,509 COVID cases with total deaths of over 10,019. Nepal imposed lockdown since 24 March to control the spread of coronavirus and partially opened in between. However, due to the second wave that hit in Nepal a few months ago, we are still in partial lockdown today. The commercial farms are generally located in the Terai region. They produce mainly cash crops such as perishable fruits and vegetables, milk and eggs, which faced greater problems in this pandemic. The farmers were neither able to sell nor produce crops due to lockdown, which resulted in the shortage of farm inputs such as seeds and fertilizers. Chitwan, which is considered as the breadbasket of Nepal, had to suffer decline in production, and its food products did not reach the market due to breakdown of market channel after COVID-19. As a result, they had to throw a great number of fruits, milks, and vegetables. A survey of 4,415 households conducted in April after a month of lockdown showed that COVID-19 increased food insecurity by 8%, 10% households lost their livelihood source altogether, and 30% faced reduction in income. The Karnali province was the most affected among other places in Nepal. There were reports that the distributors responsible were run out of food stocks and people could not buy food at all. However, due to food aid programs and partial opening, there was a slight decrease in food insecurity. Nepal's vulnerability on dependency towards other countries in terms of food inputs have been exposed due to COVID-19. As the food production and distribution started to deteriorate, the government allowed people to carry out their farming activities by making COVID precautions and health guidelines compulsory. Thank you.
Thank you. So what are the current food and nutrition challenges in your community? So can any one of us would like to discuss, because we have a very qualified and certified nutritionist with us today. So whatever questions that you have, you speak up, and then she will advise.
According to Nepal, Nepal is in vulnerable situation in terms of COVID-19 due to its tight budgetary position, lack of stability government structures, and improper healthcare system, especially in terms of resources such as ventilators, hospital isolation units, and personal protective equipments. Nepal has limited resources to respond to the pandemic. As the situation is evolving, food and nutrition security has been jeopardized by both the global health crisis and economic fallout. Nepal's 2020 Global Hunger Index score is 19.1, which is considered as moderate, down from 37.4 in 2000. Besides improvements, food and nutrition is still a cause for concern. The percentage of population with the prevalence of undernourishment and having insufficient access to calories on a regular basis fell from 23.6% in 2000 till 2002 to 6.1% in 2017 to 2019. Most of the people in mountain regions have no access to the food as compared to the Terai. by reflecting the percent of Nepal's cultivated land occupied by 75% with cereal crops, micronutrient deficiencies, low dietary diversity, and high reliance on staple foods are common. In addition, obesity and overweight have been increasing due to shift in people's diet towards processed foods with higher energy, fat, and sugar. Only 36% of Nepali children aged 6 to 23 months receive a minimum acceptable diet, which is largely suboptimal. The challenges in achieving food and nutrition security include natural disasters such as floods, landslides, and earthquakes, climate change, poverty, poor infrastructure, especially in mountain regions, urbanization and outmigration, leading to the feminization of agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you. So right now I will go to Miss Tan Yi Teng, the dietitian.
Okay, hello
Miss Tan Yi Teng,
everyone.
hi.
Yes.
Yes, a few questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
What causes malnutrition? And is malnutrition an issue found only in the developing countries or also in the developed countries?
Okay, so before that, we need to understand what is malnutrition, because lots of people might have misunderstanding like malnutrition is only happening in developing country or even the poor country. So malnutrition usually refer to a person when a person diet do not provide enough of nutrients. So which means the person doesn't eat a well-balanced diet, doesn't really get enough of nutrients from the food they having. So that's kind of the condition that we call malnutrition. And then some people may be using the term as using undernutrition as well. So what causing the malnutrition? There's various reasons. Okay, so usually is the first factor or first reasons can be a low intake of food. So which is we already discussed. Lots of people raise the question and the problem, which is like they do not eat enough of the food. So usually the food calories is not enough or certain nutrients. So can be, it's not just the people who not eating enough, and can be people who are suffering certain disease. So for example, they might have liver disease or they are having cancer treatment right now. Maybe some conditions like their digestion issue, so can be nausea or have difficult to swallow the food, difficult to chew the food. They don't have a dental care access in their country, so they cannot chew the food very well. Or maybe they're taking certain medications, so that's why make them to have a drug and food interaction. So they don't access to a pharmacies in their country. They don't know well about how to space up their medication and their food intake. So that's why the drug and food interaction, so they can inhibit the nutrients intake for them. So that can cause them to have some malnutrition issue. And some malnutrition issue can also happen for people who have mental health conditions. So for people who are usually experienced with depressions, okay, or eating disorder as well, okay. And also right now during the pandemic, so most of us, we are having more understanding about the social factor, because we are in the kind of like in the middle of lockdown. Everyone couldn't really go outside and eat, couldn't really go to the grocery store, and wet market is closed. And then we only allow one person in the household to go out to buy food. So that can be a social problem to cause the malnutrition. So the factor can be the elderly, if they are living in the house, the son and the daughter not coming back to the hometown, okay, every weekend. Because sometimes it can be the son and the daughter come home and help the elderly to buy food, right? So if they're not able to travel back to the hometown to help the parents to buy food, so which means the parents have to be depend on someone to buy their grocery, right? So they're unable to leave the house, and to reach to the grocery store. And probably during right now the pandemics, a lot of us depending on using the food delivery system. So we have someone, they're using the app, more technology app to help us to ordering the grocery food, right? So but for the elderly, they're probably having some problem like that. And also the social problem can also including with people who not able, they don't have a very good cooking skill. So I hear some youth, the first person who voice out say that during the MCO, they are cooking more often at home, okay? So which is like the young people, of course, they can go on YouTube and learn a lot of cooking video, but for lots of elderly or lots of people doesn't have access to the internet. So when we are in the middle of the lockdown, in the middle of the pandemic, and then they probably don't have a very good cooking skill, right? So they usually only depend on eating in the restaurants or grabbing the food, takeout and things like that. But when during the pandemic and lots of people scared of going out, so they might not access to a good restaurant, access to a good wet market and things like that. So they have to depend on whatever product they have at home, whatever supply, whatever food they can access to the nearest grocery store. But again, their cooking skill is very limited. So they don't know how to handle the fish. They don't know what kind of veggies and then what they can do and what kind of oil to use for cooking, right? So that can causing them might not eat well for that. They probably from love to eat whatever food they usually do, but during the pandemic, unable to access to the fresh food, then they eventually their food selection is kind of like narrowed down. Okay, and they might not have a good access to the nutrients, which is like, for example, they cannot buy fish or meat. They can only access to a vegetable, but they cannot get access to a protein. So they will be low in protein intake, low in iron intake, low in zinc intake. So they can affect their nutrition status. And of course, during this pandemics, lots of people losing their job, and then they have not enough of money. So they probably have a very limited budget for a month for their family to buy the food, right? So that's why financial can be the problem. Okay, so when we're seeing that kind of lots of factor, lots of cause for the malnutrition. So when you're looking at developing country and developed country, when I was studying and working in Canada, Canada is a very developed country, but you can still see people who are suffering from malnutrition, suffering from a lot of financial issue, and then they are living in the more rural area, and then they cannot access to the food every week. So especially the elderly, and then they have a very limited cooking skill as well. So they have a lot of problem with the malnutrition and nutrition deficiency problem as well. So, and also lots of patients that I see when I was working in Canada, and most of them is obesity. Okay, so they have weight issue. So you usually think that people who are having a weight issue and weight problem, maybe they eat too much, but actually it's not. They usually tend to eating more processed food, more kind of empty calories food, not very nutrients and balanced diet. Okay, they may be skipping meal. They're not eating enough of the calories for that. And then they can also causing weight problem too. So when they're having the weight issue, and then they come up with the condition also like digestion issue, diabetes problem, and then they are scared because of my blood sugar is very high, my blood pressure is very high, then they're scared of eating. So when they having this kind of disease with them, and then they're scared of eating, so that's why they kind of like stop themselves from eating. So before they looking for nutritionist or dietitian, they don't know what to do. So they just stop themselves. They just say, okay, I'm gonna skip my breakfast, or I'm probably gonna skip this and that. Then I will see myself if my blood sugars will get better. So with this kind of thing happen, and then so this group of people, they will experience malnutrition, and then their poor disease management. So you can see that their blood sugar probably is very, very high, and the blood pressure is very high as well. Yeah, so that's kind of like my my experience when I was working with a patient from developed country, and then right now I'm back in Malaysia. So in the developing country, you can see that during the pandemic, lots of people having a social problem, which is unable to go out, and then financial issue, so that can cause them to not eating well due to the stress, and also due to a lot of food access, how they can access to the market, right?
Okay, any questions for Ms. Tan? Grab this opportunity, all right? Young people, especially those from India, from Himalayas, right?
Anyone before I ask Ms. Tan?
Jia? No? Okay.
Can I ask?
Sure.
Evelyn?
Yes.
Hi, Ms. Tan, you are right. I live in St. John, Newfoundland before.
Okay, yes.
What you say is true. In the developed countries, you wouldn't think that they are undernourished, but it was the case in Newfoundland. So if a person has about $3, he can go to McDonald's and have a McDonald's breakfast.
Yes.
But actually, it's all carbo loaded and processed food. And what you say is true. There were a lot of obesity in St. John, Newfoundland as well. Because, like you said, they lack the knowledge, or maybe because they lack the financial ability to actually buy healthy food.
Yes, and it's true. And I did my internship, my dietetic internship in Newfoundland, which is Carbonaire, also very new, very near the St. John's. So yes, the food accessible is very difficult because Newfoundland is an island, and then they have to depend the fresh produce to kind of ship by the shipment to come in every week. So I remember my internship every Friday after I done my job, then I have to go to grocery store and try to check out if I can get any fresh produce. So yes, sometimes you couldn't even see any pepper, like green pepper, red pepper, any kind of salad. Even though you see salad right there, and then the salad is already very old, very not fresh, so very dark. So yes, so even in the developed country, but we also depend on where you live, right? So the shipment can come only once a week, and the obesity is a very is a disease. What we call it is a disease, and because we need to have a treatment, and we also need to work on it. Okay, so the another factor is also because of the weather as well, because when we live in Canada, the weather is very, very cold. So we only have 2 months
minus
for
30.
summer.
Oh my God.
Yes, so we only have 2 months or 3 months of summer, and people who usually stay at home. So we are not kind of walking and running out there or playing in the playground. So people, that's why the weather is a big factor for the population over there, and also the junk food is like everywhere. Like the fast food restaurant is everywhere, so that's why it's very easily to access for them, and that's why they are also lack of cooking skill too. The nutrition knowledge and the nutrition education is not enough, even in the developed country. It's still not enough. So the more we need to do is definitely educate the young populations.
But also, I think junk food, like I mean, sorry to say, McDonald's, I hope they don't sue me. Like $2.99 for breakfast is still cheaper than buying your whole wheat bread, or fresh bread and eggs, and have some salad for breakfast. It's still cheaper to get fast food in most Western countries.
Yeah, and then their coffee intake is like crazy, and then they put lots of sugar into coffee. They can drink like 8 to 10 cups of coffee per day, and then with like 2 or 3 tablespoons of sugar in the coffee.
Tim Hortons? Is it Tim Hortons?
Exactly. Yeah, Tim Hortons. Yes, exactly. Like the donuts and the bagel. Yeah.
In India, most of them drink this milk tea.
Did they add sugar into the milk tea?
Yes.
Is India like the milk tea? They do?
Yes. Stands in. You have to come in.
I love Indian chai.
Yeah, the chai tea.
Yes.
The chai. No, in India, yeah, they use fresh milk, which is much healthier. Because I lived in Bombay before as well. They use fresh milk to make tea, which is healthy. So, but we just have to reduce the sugar intake. Because here in Malaysia, they do not use fresh milk to make chai. They use condensed milk, which is actually not milk, because it's made from a kelapa sawit, you know. So.
In India,
it's very important.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In northern India, they drink a lot of butter tea, and most of them are overweight. You know, they eat a lot of carbo.
Yeah, because of the naan bread and chapati.
Yeah.
They're very heavy on the naan bread, like the wheat flour, that kind of thing. And also most of the like Indian population, they are vegetarian. They do use beans and making curry and things like that. But depend on how they cook the curry. They can put the coconut milk in it. They can put lots of like the chicken with skin, or even the vegetarian, they use a bean, but the curry depend on how they make the recipe. And then they are quite heavy on the carb consumption too.
Any more questions from Istan?
I just wanted to add something, like, you know, like even in Bangladesh, we have a similar diet. Like we are mostly focused on having a very carb centric diet and refined carb. And that's what makes it like really difficult. And also the tea is there. So I think this is a problem in this region itself. Like, and even when I was in Malaysia, I used to see that, you know, if I had to buy if I bought the whole grain bread, it would be more expensive. Or if I wanted to opt for more organic items, it used to be more expensive than the refined ones.
Yes. And there's not lots of selection of whole grain, whole wheat bread. They can be expensive,
Yes.
they do, but in a different grocery store. But in a more common, like the wherever near your household, the grocery store, usually they don't carry those kind of brand, and then it's very difficult to get some. That's why lots of people tend to go buy white bread, and then even the bread, they say whole wheat bread, but when you take a look at the ingredient list, it's no whole wheat. It's just a wheat flour, so it's no whole. It's not the whole entire wheat in it. So it's still processing, right? And yes.
That's why I think with the youth here, we should encourage everyone to actually try to do it yourself. Because like my husband is diabetic, and recently he was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. Okay, so that was in February. So what we did when he was diagnosed, we went to see his friend who's a dietitian. So the friend advised us to cut carbs. So right now my husband is on 0 carbs intake, and we switch it to eating konjac, and I make homemade keto bread for him. Okay, because I did a lot of study after that, and it has helped actually. His blood sugar is good now. He's not using any insulin, so that makes the cancer treatment a bit more effective. So these are the things I learned myself since my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. But how many people out there are access to all this information, if you know what I mean? And are they is it accessible for them to buy konjac instead of eating normal rice? Is it accessible for them to use almond flour to make the keto bread instead of using normal atta or maida? You know what I mean? So how can we improve this situation for people out there who are not accessible, who cannot afford it, to have a much healthier lifestyle?
Okay, so here is I want to voice out for the dietitian professions. So even that you are not sick, okay, so don't just come and see us until you are very sick, until you like diagnosed with something else. So I always encourage the young people and learn the nutrition basic knowledge. Okay, look for the right person to learn it. Not the internet, but you need to learn the basic knowledge. It's good for yourself. It's also good for your future family too. Like if you got your own family in the future, So that's why you get the right information. So because a lot of students, as a student, when I was in Canada as well, then you have to cook for myself, right? So I have a very limited cooking skill, and then I learned. So because I want to be a dietitian, so I learned how to cook and I learned the nutrition. So then when I was leaving the home from Malaysia to different country, or in KL, or maybe you in Johor, then you move to KL, then yes, you learn something. So then you not always just eat outside food. You not always just eat restaurant food. So you always can cook in your condo. You can cook in your own house. So then you learn. So 50-50, right? So I'm not just saying that high carb eating McDonald's is bad. I'm just kind of telling people the message is moderation is the key. Okay, so you want to look for the right person to get your nutrition information, nutrition knowledge, and then you educate yourself. Okay, so try to learn some cooking skill, so then will help you in the future when you're moving out from like leaving your parents, and then you go to different country, or you're working in different country, then is definitely a lifesaver for the cooking skill, I think. Because a lot of young family that I have experience with is the parents don't know how to cook. When they have a children coming in their life, and then they say, okay, now I want my children to eat better. I know how important the nutrition is. So the young parents now, they want to learn how to cook. So
sorry, can I jump in on here
yes.
to just amplify your point on new parents wanting to cook for kids, right? Yes. And then you hear this a lot,
okay.
Where kids say that, oh, the parents come and complain to you that, I know my kids must eat more vegetables, but they don't eat, You know what? I get that all the time also during my cooking demos, during my cooking classes and stuff like that. You know what I honestly say?
Yeah.
I say, honestly, you haven't been cooking for a long time.
Yes.
And you don't know how to cook. What makes you think that your vegetable is very nice? Would you eat something that is not very nice? So cannot blame the kid, you understand or not?
Exactly, yeah.
So, yes, so I always say that it is always a lifestyle change. I don't know if you guys have been looking at the chat, but I think Jia Yi and Tristan Shes and I have been conversing a little bit, and we are talking about like with the nutrition that you have been so strong on, right? I totally agree with the kids having nutrition, but three of us were just talking about how to make a change. We know that it is a problem with this malnutrition, right? And eating fast food is bad for you and stuff like that. But we were bantering about it, which I think was so healthy. But I always think that it is a lifestyle. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm very into fitness and training. I eat like a bear, okay? I eat like a bear. To be honest, I eat like a gorilla. I eat fruits a ton load, kilos. I eat 40 eggs a week with the yolk. My mother thinks I'm going to die tomorrow morning of a heart attack or something, but thank God I'm still alive. But I want to say, nutrition in these developing countries is needed to the bare minimum, which they don't have. That's why they fell into malnutrition state. Okay, for us being in developed countries, we don't walk as much. We don't have mountains to climb. We take buses, we drive our own cars. We have a very comfortable lifestyle, right? So we don't have to eat so much. Can you imagine? Plus convenience with fast food. So even being developed in a developed country, our nutrition is quite rubbish. It's quite garbage actually, right? So the sad thing is, I just wanted to draw the youth back to understanding that developed countries have the resources to grow, correct? But they don't have the energy, this resource to start growing to eat. But they got all the mountainous lifestyle to go through, correct? The harsh environments. For us here, we have this, but we don't have the land to grow or the attitude to grow, right? So it is just a mismatch of mindset and lifestyle, right? So I feel that currently in the developed countries, right, where nutrition, I don't think that we have money to buy whole meal. They don't. But don't forget, these are the countries that actually produce our proper resource and ingredients to make your whole meal bread, right? Being a chef, I source for countries that have their years and years of knowledge of growing a specific ingredient. Then I buy from them, right? they go through all the years of heritage and tradition of growing it properly with the nutrients. So when I make my bread, I don't need to eat so much of the bread.
Yes.
I get the nutrition I need, right? It's because suddenly the fertilizers kick in and this and that, the nutrition level drop in that particular ingredient. So what happens?
Yes.
My dietitian, I feel something wrong lah. Maybe I fat or what. Then I kind of look for, eating, and I say, hey, why I so fat? Then she say, oh, because you're eating the wrong bread and this and that. But the thing is, it might not be the bread. It might be what went into the bread. It's because the ingredient itself don't have the proper nutrients it's naturally supposed to have. So I eat more, right? So she tell me I need to eat a lot of orange, right? Because I need vitamin C. But nowadays, all these commercial farmers have so much sugar in orange that I like just down it, right? Like 40 liters a day to hit my vitamin C level. But the sugar that comes along with that 40 liters is going to kill me. So is my dietitian wrong? No, she's not wrong. But it's the produce industry that needs to step up to the integrity of growing food properly. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's a point I wanted to put out to the youth. So because I have a lot of trainees that they say, hey, chef, you eat 40 eggs, you train, yeah, you're big, you're strong. I want to be like that. But the eggs that I buy and the eggs you buy is different, You get what I'm trying to say?
The quality of food, where they come from.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the solution is not about who's right, who's wrong, what to eat more, what to eat less. It's more of the lifestyle change and the understanding of we only need to eat enough of a particular quality kind of food.
Yeah.
And then share lah, stop lah, don't be greedy lah, don't eat so much. So if you eat so much, right, it's over. Right? Like vitamin C, if correct me if I'm not wrong, there's a limit. If we eat more vitamin C, we'll just pee it out. That's why your pee is always like super orangey or whatever. So that's what I learned. I spent so much money wasted on vitamin C because I thought that because I am like gorilla size, I need a lot more, right? Then I start getting worried because I'm being orange pee, like orange juice. Then I got scared. So my dietitian and my nutritionist friends are telling me, Melvin, you're taking in too much, that your body can't absorb. So you're just, letting it out lah, right? So guys, I think on this point of food, right, we all have to work together, whether the farmers, like Jia Yi has experience in Thailand. I'm very close to Thailand. I have my small little farm in Thailand also. So I feel that it's all about the farmers coming to us chefs, delivering the food and teaching mummies how to make broccoli taste nice because it's fantastic. It's super nice. It's just that some mummies cannot cook broccoli and it really tastes bad. So it's not the kid's fault now, okay, guys?
Yeah.
Then it comes to the consumer, right? To support this agriculture, this understanding. So for farmers to understand that my produce grown properly is valued so high, and I have a community that believes in my vision, my craft, Mother Nature won't get poisoned by fertilizers, right? To get the quantity to fulfill what we need. Because in our brain, we think that we need 5 kilos of broccoli. Actually, we don't. We need 1 kilo. So-called, for example, say, the farmer feel that he needs to grow 40 tons, right? But if you pat him on his back and say, please do it properly, we only need 1 ton, he feels very comfortable to focus on what is right. And then again, Mother Nature gets time to grow and recover. So that's why I say COVID is honestly, everybody hate COVID, but I kind of make friends with it already, okay? Because I realized that COVID is a wake-up call for every individual to self-reflect. Sometimes we think we need a lot, but we don't, And sometimes COVID came, a lot of us work from home. What are we doing? On the computer, playing games, act like we work from home on the email, right? Check in a bit, sign in a bit, but then we actually like potato chip and stuff. There's a lot of things we can start moving, right? Being aware of and getting more involved, I would say, right? To give back to Mother Nature. It's very simple, but we just need to open our minds up, take baby steps at a time. Imagine this room, we got 59 people. If everybody take just one small step to eat 1 meal a day that is not meat, can you imagine how many kilos of meat a day we will save? There goes all my meat sponsors lah, huh? But never mind. The point of this meeting is to inspire. So yeah, there goes all my butchery sponsor. You get what I'm trying to say? It's that simple.
Yes.
Don't make it so difficult that we need to start growing things on top of buildings. We need to skyscraper gardens. Guys, slow it down. All you need to do is tell yourself, one day, let's just take breakfast. A cup of coffee, right? Maybe a piece of cheese, and we're good. Because lunch is probably 2 hours later. Guys, you are not marathon runners. You all don't need to eat so much. My parents eat like bears also. Yeah, but they don't look like bears. They look more like marshmallows. Yeah, because they don't move. They eat a lot, right? So it's a mindset. I think let's start with the mindset, which is so much easier. And then after that, when the community is built and we have a strong following, your voice will be heard. And then we can make physical changes into the industry. Yeah, that's my sharing point. Sorry, I say so much.
Okay, since Melvin, you're talking right now, don't go away. I have a question for you. So we need to move on to the programs, okay?
Let's go.
Why I invite chef to this program? The first thought come to your mind is about food waste, right? So, well, I'm not accusing the restaurant operators or chef. The food retailers and restaurants have become the largest contributor to food waste in the world. Okay, so if all the chefs came together to tackle food waste issue, what are the most practical and innovative approaches that you can think of, or you can advise all the individuals here?
Me or Auntie Azhar gonna start first?
Yes.
Okay, let me.
How could we take a small step to do this? To cut the food waste.
Auntie Azhar, you're mute. Can somebody type okay, we got you back.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Can you hear? Okay. Those extra food, you should give it to the NGO so that they can cook this food and give to the homeless.
Melvin?
Can you hear me?
Oh, me? My turn? Okay. So, all right. So again, I think from my previous sharing notes, you can see that I am not a person that always go along with the rules and regulation. I'm sorry. Whole life I've been like that. It hasn't lead me to anything bad. Or maybe not yet. But I always say that things come in front of us doesn't mean that we have to react with it immediately, right? So I look at this food wastage situation as a form of lifestyle again, because most of our things in the world, right, is encouraged and generated by lifestyle. Why are we liking aircon now and cannot tahan hot? Because we got too many aircons, right? Let's be very honest. Why are we making so much noise that why this place only sell this particular drink and don't have other drinks? It's because we have a lot of drinks at 7-Eleven or your convenience store, right? Okay, so here comes the part where Adeline pointed out, she don't want to point out any restaurants or chefs or blame anybody. But I, coming from the industry that I grew up, and this is the only industry I know, which is food, F&B, hospitality, we are the biggest criminals to waste food. Why? Us chefs just cook, let's be honest, okay? But a lot of investors, and now it's a bit of sharing about the F&B business world, a lot of investors come in and see that there's a niche market now where Michelin is very encouraging and supportive of all these fine dining restaurants. Fine dining restaurants, you know why it costs so expensive? Very simple. Because if I buy an ingredient 10 kilos, I only use 1. So you are basically paying for the 9 kilos that I'm throwing in a bin. Does that make sense? Okay. Second thing is my array of high-class wines that I bring in, not by choice, not by your choice. Okay, my choice. So it makes me look good and go into Michelin Guide. You have to pay. Okay? And the crystal glass is, again, my business choice, which you pay. So coming to all of that, it amounts to people paying a lot for fine dining food, which encourages the business owner, the restaurateur, the hotelier, the chef to keep on going with this mentality of 10 kilos, I only can use the best. You realize a lot of Michelin star restaurants, they always tell you, we only use the best from blah, 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 blah. You can use the best, but if it's not fresh and it took like a 16-hour flight from wherever here, bro, trust me, it will drop a bit lah, the quality, right? So again, food wastage, how can we change it? Like I say, again, mentality. Fresh is best. Let's just all don't care about this crazy guy here, but just absorb what I'm saying, just for once. This sentence, fresh is best, okay? So let's explore and expand fresh is best. If my orange is so sweet and naturally grown, right? And I make it into a simple salad with another 3 ingredients, and I tell you, it only costs you $2. Would you buy it very often? I'm pretty sure you'll buy it. I'm pretty sure you'll love it. Last but not least, I'm pretty sure you'll buy for your parents because you trust me, ma. Logic? So again, is the understanding that food wastage comes from a lifestyle. So now that all this food wastage is there, you again, like I preach, we cannot change the entire industry, but we can make a change. Make sense? We don't change the industry, but we make a change. Make noise. I like to always tell my boys, my apprentices, make noise. Get my attention. Once you get my attention, your dish is good, we put on the menu, you know, because it's good, ma. So how to make noise? How to make sure that all this food wastage now can be changed so our noise and our voice will be heard. Very simple. Like Auntie Azad said, we can give it to NGOs, but this is something I tried in Singapore. A lot of people don't want to risk the fact where I give you my ingredient and you exposing me wasting so much food. It's a very dark side of the industry that people don't want to be involved with, right? Second of all, how can you, I don't know about other countries, but I speak for Singapore. Hygiene is a huge thing. So if let's say I am a restaurant owner, then I give all my leftovers and my food waste to Auntie Azhar to go and cook an event, and just say one guy got diarrhea. We're all in trouble, right? So a lot of people are very worried about that. But to be honest, if you ask me, it is just a government regulation. If I'm allowed to do, I will carry on doing it. Because the chances are of it being bad is determined by the restaurants that I'm taking from. You get what I'm trying to say? I'm not shaming anything, okay? But I live in KL for 2 years. I eat mama all the time. They are not exactly the cleanest people, let's be honest. So if you take food wastage from mamas, obviously you're risking it, But all these fine dining restaurants, guys, if you take it right, I can do a banquet for weeks with no food cost. And can you imagine how much fundraiser we can do? Think about it. Do me a favor, just one day, when your mom or your wife or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever is cooking, just stand there. Just stand there and watch how much waste. Oh, because got black dot, you know? Oh, because, why got a worm inside? Guys, if the worm won't eat it, means got pesticide guys. Right? If the worm will eat it, means it's good So some vegetables in supermarkets, why they look so pristine, is because a lot has been thrown away. And I'm very into agriculture nowadays. I call myself a farmer more than a chef. Remember one thing, if you see a vegetable, a leafy vegetable that is yellowish and not green, it's just low in iron. It's not that it's bad for you. You still can eat it. You know? Yeah. So with food wastage, I highly recommend that we don't go to restaurants first. We don't talk to big hotels. Like honestly, Singapore Marina Bay Sands has the biggest waste. I've worked with them before. But again, it's government restrictions that we can't do something about it. Let's start from our homes, right? And it leads to that composting idea. Just explore. Now that everybody has so much time, just explore into growing. You don't need to know. I'm not asking you to tomorrow eat your food. You cannot go to supermarkets and stuff. But just explore growing your own stuff first. Then move on to composting. Then once that satisfaction and that fulfillment. Yeah.
Sorry, Melvin. Do you think that composting locally at the neighborhood or community level is one of the solutions to reduce food waste?
there must be a community following first.
Mm.
You get what I'm trying to say? Because again, we are all human. I don't expect the world, okay? I'm a very practical guy. If let's say there's 10 of us working out and maintaining a garden, it will last through all the seasons. But if let's say you got a poor Jia Yi alone to do the whole garden, she is going to complain to you one day and say, I am tired. Every time the pumpkin don't grow, you scold me. Every time the spinach looks yellow, you scold me, you know? So a community must be built. How can the community be built? First, by making people understand and physically taste all these food waste. That's why for me as a chef, I don't run restaurants anymore. I do a lot more events. I go to culinary institutes to do talks, go to farms to work with them. And I do a lot of free cooking demos for people, which at the end of the day, they look at it, they take photo, they post Instagram, they like it so much, but I tell them it's from the rubbish. Then they start to ask me, they cannot complain because they don't pay. Huh? It's free, huh? Don't complain, huh? Free one cannot complain. Yeah, but I remind them that the food tastes as good as what you would pay for, correct? So I think for us now, a very exciting way is when COVID dies down, cools down a little bit, we can work on baby steps, right? Get all these food wastage people to contribute and step out. Tell them it's okay. We know it's a business. We understand, right? We know. Just don't be afraid to at night, 12 midnight, when you close your restaurant, right? Sneak to the back and give me a bag of your trimmings and all that. We won't tell. You get what I'm trying to say? From there, we start to do something called a soup kitchen, which I explored with Adeline and Auntie Azhar many times. Soup kitchen, if you guys don't know, is a place where there's no menu. We just cook whatever we can, and we will serve whoever needs it. No judging, no discrimination, no race, no nothing. And last but not least, I think that is what food is about. To get everybody together, to sit on the same table, on the trust of the person preparing the food, and you will be amazed at all the stories and lessons of life you will learn from each other. And I think that's the essence of what ROLF is. You know, life inspire life, right, guys? So with this soup kitchen, anybody can contribute. You don't say that I don't know how to cook. Never mind. If you know how to hold a bowl, know how to hold a spoon, you can contribute. You know, so I think that is what the spirit is about voluntary. A lot of people get scared about the commitment. Don't be, because when you're scared, you don't give me a chance to inspire you at all. You know, you get what I'm trying to say? If you don't open your door, I cannot talk to you. So can you just please open the door? Give me 5 seconds. If you don't like my face, you can close the door in my face. You know, all right? Yeah. So I think with food wastage now, the immediate step is let everybody understand growing their own food is fun. It's not. You're not going to change the world, to be very honest, right? It's fun. Understand what it is. When it opens up and you see how we can use food wastage, it will amplify that motivation. Then when you taste that this kind of food wastage food can taste good too, you will explore culinary. And then when you explore culinary, imagine that all I've said, you have jumped 4 levels. And that's how 4 things you can contribute to help Mother Nature. And then guys, 58 of us times 4. My maths is rubbish lah, but I think there's a lot of impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Chuang, would you like to support this idea? I know that you're very much into urban farming.
Yeah. As I was listening to Melvin here, you know, it occurs to me that many of these things that he mentioned actually have been done in many places, but they are not done properly and in a very haphazard manner. For example, to collect all those unwanted or extra or less than grade A food and to be used for soup kitchens and for charity causes, these have been done, but it's too few and too little, you know, in between.
Yeah,
and
totally agree.
Yeah, and still all this food still continues to be wasted. Okay. In fact, recently during this COVID-19 situation, a friend of mine, he was in aquaculture, and he produced a lot of farm fish, okay, tilapia and jade perch and so on. And because of a supply chain situation, which I'll come to shortly, he was willing to give away for free. And even so, we run into all kinds of difficulties. So back to Melvin's point, I see the biggest problem in dealing with all these so-called throwaways and being used properly and optimally. The one big problem is from the logistics side. So this is maybe for all these youth here to think about how to properly or come up with an optimal way of dealing with collection and distribution of this so-called waste. Many establishments, restaurants, hawkers, wet markets, and so on, they are very happy if somebody is willing to help them dispose all this waste. Okay? And they do give away, even wet markets, they do give away fish that they cannot sell. They cannot completely sell out. And before they go stale, they give away. But the problem is in the logistics. Who is willing to collect? And when you talk about collect, not only it becomes a problem with transportation, but it's also a problem with storage and another problem with distribution, where it's going to end up. Because if you don't do it properly, you're going to waste a lot of resources, and at the end, you still throw it away. Okay? So this is maybe for all those out here who are entrepreneurial in spirit, you can think where you can play a role in this. How do you help in this whole change of events? There are people who are willing to throw away and who are willing to give away, and there are people who need these so-called throwaways. So how do you link them together? But you must do it in a sustainable manner, meaning that you can generate some income from this to keep you going, and yet you're doing society a big favor. Okay? So this issue is not unique only to the food industry. When you start thinking, okay, when food industry, maybe when it first started out, they're just trying to throw away cooked oil. There are a lot of cooked oil, they just pour into the drain. And somewhere along the line, somebody started to come up with some system to collect all this oil and use it for other purposes. Now, this is not unique to the restaurant business and the food industry, but also, for example, you can think in terms of like tires. There are a lot of tires. When you go to a mechanic and you change to a new set of tires, what happened to the old set of tires? Somebody has to dispose this. Some of the shops are so willing to, even happy for you to collect it. They'll give you a ringgit a piece that you collect and throw away, but you have to go and discard it somewhere. Okay? So this is where many of you, young people who are coming out maybe from the universities, to think about how you can add value to this whole thing, how you can help society, help the environment, while making, a meaningful career out of this. Okay? Now, many things are actually linked together. What you talk about in terms of dealing with the waste, food waste in this case specifically, and one of the ways is to do composting. Okay, this ties in very nicely with producing food. Okay, and I think in the earlier talks and situations brought up by so many of you out there from different countries, whether you are from Bangladesh or you are from Ladakh or you are from Nepal, or even Indonesia and even locally Malaysia, we see the same theme being repeated, which is during times of difficulty like the COVID pandemic, even though there are people producing foods somewhere, the supply chain is broken and you cannot get it to the people who need them. Usually it is between the rural and the remote countryside to the cities. Okay, so even though just now somebody brought up food will be produced in Cameron Highland, but you can see that during this pandemic, lorries and lorries of food were discarded because they were not allowed to travel and they cannot, you know, be brought across borders. You know, you don't want to infect other people and all these kind of issues, and there are no workers who can work. So a lot of farm produce were thrown away. So there is a big disconnect between the place where you produce the food, in this case, big farms, and the place that you need it most, big cities. Okay, so this gives us a very clear picture that we need to do something about this. So this brings us to the next topic about, you know, why we need to start encouraging people to do urban farming. When we talk about urban farming, you know, don't think about the word farming as in like previously where you need big piece of land, you know, and all kinds of resources to do it. The beauty about this whole thing is that you can do it even in your condominium. You can do it in your rooftop. You can do it in your little garden, you know. I even see many communities doing it in the back lane, legally or illegally, they don't care, you know. And also I've seen and visited so many communities now that they even talk to the city councils to allow them to use empty lands, unused land, to make the land becomes productive, you know. And even a small plot of land that is not used in the park can produce so much vegetables and squash and cucumbers and all kinds of things that supply even the whole little community. I've seen that all the way from Penang to Johor, you know. I'm talking about in Malaysian context, and I'm sure it's elsewhere too. So it's all the more reason now that we all should do, at least on a small scale, we should start at home, you know. I mean, in the old days, we say charity starts at home. Now, when we talk about food, you know, producing food, we start at home, you know. You can do enough to feed your own family if you just even do it in your own backyard, or do it in your balconies, or even do it, you know, in your front yard, or even do it on a public land, you know. This is very common now, you know. People share, communities come, they go and ask the city council and say, please, our community would like to use this plot of empty land, and we will help to maintain the land and we will produce. And so far, most of them get the okay to go ahead. Okay, so now we need to do more for ourselves. And with this pandemic, we see very clearly that in bad times, we can produce enough actually to help ourselves. You know, when even the supply chain is broken, you know, the fish cannot come from the sea, you know. Just now, Miss Tan, the dietitian, mentioned that, you know, in Newfoundland, even though plenty of fish are in the ocean, but you cannot get it to people who need that, you know. And likewise, when you talk about in Ladakh, it's isolated, you can produce and you're happy and you have farm and you're able to survive. But then there are people in the city who doesn't even have a blade of grass to eat, you know. So that's why urban farming becomes important. Okay, now why you can do urban farming? This again go back to what Melvin said, composting. All of us in the household, we discuss a lot of things. Starting even last year, when the pandemic first started, I started to collect a lot of fruit cuttings and peels, you know, like orange peel, banana peels, you know, whatever organic material, and I don't throw them away anymore. I put it in my pot with my soil, and I started to grow chilies and other things, and they all come out nicely. Sorry, this is not even composting, okay? This is just a layman who is just blindly trying to use organic matters as fertilizers to grow plants inside a condominium, okay? because we all know that we cannot simply use chemicals anymore. Chemicals are very bad for the plants, and then the plants will become our food, and our diet will consist of these so-called chemical fertilizers. Okay, so the important thing I want to stress here is that make use of all the waste, make use of all the unwanted things, and make them become something meaningful and useful for us. Now, we always talk about the pandemics, and we think that our food supply is threatened by this pandemic, which of course this whole pandemic amplifies the whole problem so that we can all suffer together and experience together. Okay, but we also know that our food supply is actually very fragile. Climate change is another way that will affect our food supply, and I think somebody brought up just now, it's beginning to affect what they grow, okay, and how they grow it. Things change, okay. So climate change is another thing that can affect our food supply. Then of course there are other issues, social, political. Whenever there's a riot, whenever there's a protest, our whole supply chain will be broken. Okay, when there's a trade war between US and China, supply chain is broken. So you can see our food supply, the whole chain is very fragile, and we cannot continue to just sit here and wait that the food is going to come from a big farm somewhere in some land that we don't even know, and suddenly it appears on our table. We have to start doing things for our own, and especially if you want to stay healthy. So we do it, it's not only because of accessibility, but also health issues. When we grow our own things, we know what goes into the plant, what goes into the vegetables. But when it's coming from somewhere, we don't know where it came from. That's why people now they're asking you to like wash all your fruits and everything. When I was growing up, if I want to eat something, I would just pluck it from the tree and I'll just rub it on my shirt and I'll just start to take a bite. Now I'm so scared that I have to use all kinds of solvent to wash the fruits before I eat it. And just now I think Melvin was mentioning that your vegetables will look very beautiful, so pristine, until you don't know why it's so shiny. How can something so shiny appear suddenly out of nowhere? And after so many days it still remains shiny. So I think it's important that we have a better control over what we take. We have a better control over our own supply of food. So with that, I think I will,
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Chong. When you talk about organic farming, I think we need to seek advice from Mr. Katie Galson. As you know, Sikkim is the first state in the world that is 100% organic. And it is also one of the first states to ban disposable plastic bag, to ban using packaged drinking water in the government office. It bans also use of styrofoam disposable cutlery in entire state. So can you tell us, enlighten us, how you do that in Sikkim, Mr. Katie Galson?
Before I come to the actual point on the organic, I would like to share some experiences since we have touched upon the topic COVID-19. Okay, so I would like to highlight certain points because all our friends, the panelists, have given various views, opinions, expert views. I would like to share a little bit of my personal experience when we went through the pandemic. So I would like to highlight upon certain points which would be relevant and which is also relevant for the event, which is the International Youth Day. So from what the discussions we had, I would like to touch upon various experiences. Is firstly, how did the pandemic affect us? Or what are the experiences we shared? Or what are the priorities we had to give to? A time for introspection, a time to look back. The way our lifestyle has changed so much with the competition, global competition, it gave us a time to look back and think into and introspect. So now, the most important aspects of the pandemic or COVID would be economy. That's one issue. Health, livelihood, and ultimately life. Now we think we have touched upon the important aspect, food. So throughout the pandemic, what was most important for us was food. And food was such an important factor because after every meal, you're looking for the next meal. The question of scarcity, the scarcity of a fear that we may not get it. And not only that, I sometimes would discuss with my friends, and I felt as if I'm sitting in a train waiting for my next meal, and the light goes on. You know, you just sit in a train, you watch the TV, you play with your mobile, your next meal comes, then your next meal comes, you sleep, next day the same routine. So there I would like to touch upon. Now, when you say food, the next question is what the pandemic gave us an effect is that importance of food, simple living, healthy living. So these are issues which you to play around. Then when you talk about food, it questions of nutritious food, quality food, environment, clean air, pure water, clean surrounding. And of course, I think another version of the pandemic experience which is given by a friend, a panelist, Fariza Farhat from, I think, Bangladesh, I think, no? Where she said that the tobacco company business increased. Now, why did it increase? It's a question of idleness, mental stress, lack of work, lack of activities, and I'm sure alcohol business also went up. Because you see India, when the pandemic, the lockdown opened, the line outside the liquor shop was so huge. So these are experiences I'd like to share. And the other thing which Malvin gave another concept, another perception to this whole issue, which I fully agree also. And there is a question of a paradigm shift, a circumstances which has brought about to think seriously. I think our friend Malvin Lee has given a very big prospect or a perception to this whole thing. Change in the mindset, wastage of food and change in the mindset and change in lifestyle. So these are things which I think we need to ponder upon. And now coming to the organic aspect of Sikkim, and I would not like go in length, but just the brief. See, I think what happens is it are the circumstances and situations which gave us this opportunity to change Sikkim into an organic state. As an earlier occasion briefly I'd mentioned, Sikkim is a very small landlocked state. It has a small area, which is about 7,996 square kilometers. And the cultivable land is very limited, very, very limited. And the other thing is that the entire ecosystem is very fragile. It is in the foothills of Mount Kanchenjunga, which is in the range of the Himalayas. So keeping this in view, we had no option but go into organic farming, because earlier also organic farming traditionally in Sikkim was traditional farming, which is a part of the organic farming or organic process. Now, what I would like to emphasize, the other aspect which we went into is a question of leadership, a question of visionary leadership, a question of perseverance. It's a question of political will, whether we are. So these are various factors which brought about the question of organic farming. But it was a great challenge, a Herculean challenge. And in order to take up the organic farming, in 1994, our government, which is run by the previous government, run by my political party, which is the Sikkim Democratic Front Party, led by the former Chief Minister, Mr. Pawan Chamling, he visualized this concept of organic. And we started this program. And the main idea was, after we took over in 1994, and fortunately we were in government for almost 25 years. He won the elections for 5 consecutive years, which is in fact a history in India, maybe in the global democratic system of parliament system of democracy. Now, when we started initially this program of organic, the main theme was, the main concept was to take a step was taken for a healthy and wealthy life in a sustainable way, keeping due care of ecology and environment as the prime concern of the state. So there was a need, there was the requirement, and which we felt there should be a proper question or a systematic, innovative, scientific synergy between development and environment. Development and environment. How do we sustain this? How do we take it forward? So in 1994, when he came in government, framing policies for the overall development of the state and ensuring employment for the youth was the major concern and challenge for the government. So with the limited resources and prevailing circumstances at its disposal, the government decided to spearhead programs on the concept of environment-friendly and sustainable development policies under the philosophy of the Green Mission. So we started this program of Green Mission, and there are various steps we took. Say, for example, on 25th of June, we introduced the 10 Minutes to Earth program. So whole of Sikkim, starting from the top bureaucrats, the technocrats, the political masters, to the grassroots level, the students, the youths, and even the elected members at the lowest strata of a democracy were involved and were asked and made an appeal to plant one tree each on that particular day. Thousands and thousands of plants were planted on that particular day, seedlings and plants. So that brought about increase in forestation. So similarly, we introduced things like the eco-friendly tourism. We brought in various, through legislation laws, stopping or banning the killing of wildlife in the forest, banning of smoking tobacco in public places. So a lot of things were done. So in the course of the organic, the Green Mission, the organic mission, it's a long phase, but I would just like to give you in brief. The Sikkim Legislative Assembly passed the Sikkim Biodegradable Garbage Control Act 1997, which was further amended in 1998. Under the law, we stopped the use of packaged bottles. We brought in a lot of enactments and laws where plastic made bags, plastic make handbags, plastic make cutlery, and etc. were not allowed to be used in any government events, in official events, nor in any occasions. So these kind of laws were enacted. Thereafter, as far as the organic mission is concerned, there were a lot of laws passed because these are very difficult, challenging steps to be taken by government, which is anti-people. Maybe a certain group of people would not agree with that, or rather would disagree. So when you started the organic mission also, there were a lot of challenges, there were a lot of obstruction, there were a lot of opposition. It was difficult to convince the people the importance of the organic farming, especially our farmers, because they were used to using chemical materials, chemical fertilizers, insecticides. So going back, organic farming in 2003, the organic mission in Sikkim was first started in the year 2003 by adopting a resolution in Sikkim Legislative Assembly. It was by an act of legislation. It was made a law. A resolution was passed in 2003. I'm just giving in brief the sequence. There are many other things which were done, but in brief, in 2003, the Assembly passed a resolution. The initial challenges was to get rid of the use of chemical fertilizers and insecticides, creating awareness among the farmers, the people, the benefit of organic farming. In fact, under the Agriculture and Horticulture Department in the government of Sikkim, we had a certain division dealing with chemicals and pesticides. There were a lot of interest involved. We had to ban that. We had to stop that into the flow into the state. To implement this vision, the Department of Agriculture, Sikkim, prepared a concept paper and action plan in 2003 entitled Going for Organic Farming in Sikkim, a concept paper and action plan May 2003 with specific objectives and prospective roadmap, number one. Number two, then the Sikkim Organic Board was created, was constituted via the government notification, again through the government. It's very rare where any government will take a policy, make an enactment in favor of organic farming or organic activities. Through a notification on 17 September 2003 to look into the various aspects such as to address the basic requirements of organic crop production, wild crop harvesting, organic livestock management, and processing and handling of organic agricultural products, etc. The process of banning synthetic fertilizer and promoting farm manure, and gradually replacing the use of chemical fertilizers by promoting the use of organic sources. This entire process was very difficult, and we had to educate the masses, the people, the farmers. We brought experts from outside to give teachings, give special classes on farming, organic farming. The other stages involved development of bio villages, manure production infrastructures, soil health assessment. That is a question of certification of organic farming, and feasibility study conducted for organic agriculture in 2006 and its outcome. Marketing channels is very difficult because it's a very market issue. The moment you sell a product which is organic, the price goes up. Then the other crops which are, or any other food grains which is non-organic, is cheaper. So people go for the cheaper stuff. So for that reason, we gave special subsidies and price support to the farmers, which is very important. Otherwise, the farmers will suffer. In 2009, again in 2009, the roadmap was prepared with the target of converting initially about 58,000 hectares of cultivable land into fully organic land, out of which about 8,000 hectares of land was already certified as organic. I told you again, we have very limited cultivable land. It's all filled with mountains, steep terrain, hills, and a huge chunk of a land is under the forest reserved land, which cannot be touched. So with these difficulties and limited land, we had to, and the other advantages today, the benefit the farmers are getting is the value addition to the organic products. The farmers are doing very well. And in 2009, the roadmap was prepared with the target of converting 58,000 hectares of cultivable land into fully organic land, out of which 8,000 hectares of land was already certified as organic. In addition to this, in fact, I used to take a lot of classes at school level, college level, talking to students about organic farming. So in fact, for me also, it was a new subject. It's very interesting. Mr. Pawan Chamling, the former chief minister, who's presently my leader rather, launched the Sikkim Organic Mission in 2015 and issued a public appeal. It was a public appeal in a very big gathering, a public appeal document that declaring the intention to achieve the full organic status by 2015. It was an appeal by virtue of a document. On 18 January 2016, so that is the historic event. On 18 January 2016, the Prime Minister of India, sorry, I've got a lot of things written, so please give me time to read because 2016, Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, in a historic event held in Gangtok, declared Sikkim as the first fully organic state in India. So thereafter, we were declared as an organic state. Thereafter, the Prime Minister has even made special announcements or mention at various important forums in India and abroad, and even in the Indian Parliament, appreciating the achievement made by Sikkim in the field of organic farming. So after that, Sikkim and our leader, the former chief minister, we received a lot of awards. Sikkim was recognized as an organic state. For his vision and innovative leadership, Mr. Pawan Chamling, as well as Sikkim, received several awards both in India and abroad. Mr. Chamling was awarded the prestigious Future Policy Goal Award 2018 on October 18 at the United Nations FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization headquarters, Rome, Italy, for making Sikkim the first organic state of the world and for his leadership, political will, and commitment. So this is how we went about. And in his final speech, he had made an appeal. He called upon all the people to come and work to build an organic world together. So this is how the background is. And I would like to simply put in a few points that in the process, we involved a lot of ladies at the village level who are basically farmers or wives of farmers who did the housewife, but didn't really do the agriculture aspect. So in that, we produced a lot of self-help groups at the villages, self-help groups. Now this involved a lot of the ladies who were originally wives, And you know what happened today? Most of them have become experts in organic farming. And today we are happy that in my childhood, we had never seen cut flowers in the market. But today, this group of ladies are the highest producers of cut flowers, which are in every room in the hotels, cooperative societies in every village, and total provision of providing free seedlings, organic free seedlings, on fertilizer, free seedlings, etc., to the villagers and the farmers. So these are the basic things. And regarding the COVID, I would like to just share a very small experience. In fact, by profession, as you all know, I'm a lawyer and a politician, and plantation and planting plants or flowers or anything was a bit away from my idea or concept. But during the COVID, I also got introduced to this. My wife, my daughters, we are all almost involved into growing small pots and flowers and plants, and the experience I gained, which is wonderful. You plant something, you water it every day, then you see the struggle, how it grows, how much it takes. And out of 10 pots you plant, 4 grows, the rest are dead. So from here, what we see, what I realize, the kind of labor the farmers put in. Because we go to a market, we buy some fruits and we tell the salesman, oh, this fruit is too small, I want that other one. We have a choice. But the struggle the farmers put into the grow the small fruits, it's a very touching kind of thing. So I think out of all these, especially our young panelists are here, it is very inspiring. I think, Adeline, I would like to thank you and the entire ROLF team. It is so relevant, and I think our experts here in the panel who have given various ideas about urban cultivation, about the diet system and all that, is so relevant for the youths, because the theme for the International Day is transforming food system, youth innovation for human and planetary health. So beautiful. It's all connected. Food system, youth innovation, human and planetary, the environment. So I'd appeal to all the friends here. I hope you have made notes, because you'll not get a chance to listen to such experts from all over the world. And you are the leaders of tomorrow. You all have to make sure that you participate, you give back something to your society, give back something to your family, give back something to your state, your nation. And I hope that we get some good result out of it. I think I would request Madam Adeline and the entire team to draw up some concept from this discussions we had, because the kind of input that has come, the various forms of perception, various forms of concept that has been derived. And I hope that the ROLF Youth Social Responsibility Program 2021 would have more programs like this. We could learn so much. There's so much to learn from each other. And I tell you, I share this with my friends, because today, whatever I say in the house, my daughters will say you're wrong. Now I have started saying, if I say 10 things, please believe at least 2 of it, if not 1. So there must be an understanding between the youth, the present, and the past. You know, the experience, because you may be in any position. I share this with a lot of my friends and young people, because I deal with young people in my party. The biggest thing you need to express is the respect is not the position, not the power, not the money. You must respect age, because behind that age there is experience. The kind of experience we share with you is partly from what we have read, but majority of our knowledge, the little knowledge we have, comes with the experience, the things we share. For example, what a lot of our young panelists spoke today, I don't know, so I have to learn from you. So there must be a combination, and you must keep this kind of synergy alive and take the life forward. And before I conclude, I would just like to touch upon another different aspect, which is very important for modern lifestyle and importance, because I think someone did raise that issue, which is very important, because I am also not very technology friendly. My daughter has been helping me to get into this thing. And the webinar, someone did touch about technology and technology app regarding providing food delivery. It was very relevant. So what we have to draw is technology, digital technology, etc., is important. It was important even during the pandemic for the use of delivery of food. But on the other hand, we as youngsters must use this constructively, scientifically, and for the right purpose. That is my appeal to the youths. Thank you.
Thank you. I wish our government heard what you say just now. Anyway, I will forward the video to them. I really wish that they heard what you say. We have some nutritionists from Ministry of Health joining us today, actually, in this platform. So please go back, spread the news, share the videos to your bosses. You know, this is the right way. We need a good policy. We need a good guideline, a clear guideline. Otherwise, we are all totally lost. The last announcement before I open the floor to Q&A, it's really my pleasure to host this program on the International Youth Day. And I believe we can continue to do this Zoom meet every month, you know. What topics would you like to have? Would you like guys, you guys like to discuss? How about gig jobs that help the youth during the pandemic? If you guys want to learn something about movie or movie editing or music composing, we can host a Zoom discussion. So I can invite some of the famous movie directors for a talk. So before that, I need to train and groom some of you to be the program host. I cannot host the program all the time. All right.
Oh yeah, and if let's say you want to do like the food truck, I will need sous chefs also, and I will be glad to teach you everything I know.
Yes, I will do it.
Role of a villain.
Actually, I have a question for you, Melvin. Hello, my name is
Tristan, right?
Yeah. Hello.
Go ahead, bro.
Actually, I'd like to question two questions actually. One is I know this sounds ridiculous, but why does healthy ingredients are expensive? Like for example, like the difference between brown rice and white rice. Brown rice, from what I know, is they have less processes where they just go through into one processes and then that's all. But white rice, they need to have a whitening and everything, so they have more
the
cost.
husking,
But they are
the bleaching and all that.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yet, and
You're
yet they are
wondering
more cheaper
why?
than the brown rice. Yeah, I was wondering why they do
Okay. So
Why is
welcome
it
to
more
the world,
expensive,
my
even though
little
the-
friend.
even though the white
It is all about business marketing. Okay, it's a cruel fact. I'll be very honest with you. It's because somebody looking very pretty, handsome, or fit or whatever just said, "Hey, why don't you all eat brown rice?" And then they got another good-looking. I mean all dietitians very good-looking lah. Come and say that, oh, it's better in nutrients and this and that. And then you got a very supportive businessman at the back to just push it lah. And then unfortunately, white rice has been over commercialized, and it is in a lot of different cuisines. It's very common, right? So you know lah. Okay, I don't know if you guys are into shoes and all that. Okay, the more exclusive the sports shoe is, the more expensive it is. But guys, it's shoelace and rubber glue. It's a shoe. Okay, yeah. So I hope that answers your question, bro. It's basically it's marketing and business, right? But if you come to the nutrition side of it, I work with San Remo pasta proudly for 9 years. I'm their ambassador for Singapore, and they recently have a brown rice pasta, so it's gluten free. Okay, a lot of people have gluten issues and allergies. I'm sorry, it's just because they are not exposed when they're young. And the processing of the produce now. So brown rice actually is lower in GI, which for me, I work out a lot and I love healthy food. Okay, sometimes taste cannot compare to what we're used to, right? And again, it's a mindset. It just takes time to brainwash. But the brown rice actually has slow release of energy. So you actually get fuller with lesser amount. That's why I'm so pro into eating quality good food. Why? Because you don't need so much. Yeah, and it gives you the right nutrients you need and energy, so you don't get fat, right? Yeah. So, what's your next question? You had two, right? Straight up, you use both.
May I? Sorry.
I guess
sorry.
my question is like.
Sorry, may
Yeah,
I?
go ahead. Go ahead. Don't worry.
May I add another perspective to this question? Another answer.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at, let's say, when you buy vegetables from a big farm, okay, they have a huge farm. Everything is because of economy of scale. They can sell it cheaper, okay? And they just keep pumping chemicals, fertilizers, They grow very fast, and then they just harvest in quantity and they sell to you. But if you buy vegetables from, let's say, a little farm that practices permaculture or integrated farming, you know how they plant the things? They have vegetable bed, they have the water going into a pond, and they have the fish in the pond. They have draw the water from the pond, and they water the vegetables.
The vegetables, yeah.
Meanwhile, they have chickens running around, you know, and you know, chicken waste and so on also becomes fertilizer. Okay, so they cannot sell you a whole lot, but there's no chemical being used at all. Okay, they cannot fight on quantities, but on quality, it's all everything is natural. Okay, so if you buy a vegetable from there, you can tell it's not going to be pretty. You know, it might not be like glistening, you know, and a perfect leaf. Okay, but you know, you can even eat it right there. You can just take it back from there. You rub it on the shirt, and you can eat right there. Okay. Similarly, you know what goes into the eggs. It's safe to eat. But what goes into the vastly farmed chicken, you don't know. Tens of thousands of chicken in one big farm. When they get a disease, the whole place, all the chicken die. Okay? So that's why there is some premium on the food you buy from a little integrated farm that, you know, that practices permaculture. You know, permaculture is very important because it cares about people, it cares about the earth, it cares about the future, you know, sustainability of the, you know, farm and the business and the people's life and so on is important. So you may pay a little bit more because they are not fighting you on quantities, okay? But you are safe to eat everything there. That's another perspective from to add to the, you know, your question.
So in a sense, the reason why it is expensive because the quantity of the better quality are lower than the one that are commercialized. And also the other reason are also the marketing, the evil plan of the marketing where they just use up the ambassador brand that making it a lot expensive, like in a sense. If that
so another point of Doctor is correct is for you to understand, Tristan, is that with quality it takes time. Like anything that has depth, that has a rich knowledge to be shared with you, it takes time. So just like Mr. Galson said, don't respect whatever, but respect the age. It's because it took time to gain and build all that experience, right? So that's why I previously mentioned that a lot of youngsters nowadays shouldn't focus so much on what is hype. They should understand what depth is, because depth is what gives real value. It's not what you see commonly outside. You get what I mean? If like, let's say a superstar, a pop star, K-pop star wears something, it's gonna sell off the shelf within minutes tomorrow, right? But how many of these pop stars actually say, oh, the guy that made this shirt spent 2 hours hand stitch? No, you don't hear none of that, right? So I believe, honestly, being a very stubborn youth before when I was younger, now an old man, I would highly encourage that. And I know there are people like me out there that want to be inspired by knowledge and depth to understand value. Then once you understand value, you will be ambassador of this value. And then once we gain all this knowledge really quick, and how fast, it depends on how stubborn we are. The moment we open our ears and our mindset, we are constantly learning. It's an instant thing, right? So like you guys who have spent so much time with us and with the judges and the panel and all that, our special guests, you guys actually gain a lot more than you sit in a classroom. Next thing I want you guys to do, and I hope I can leave you guys with this, is get yourself out there. Don't be scared. If you do it one time, you don't like it, stop. Again, it's by your choice. But again, to get there is again your choice. You need to say you want to go, right? So just get out there, try and compost, try and grow, plant 10, fail 9.5. It's okay, at least you still have half. Then you can try and grow the other half into a 1. And then it will grow into a 3, and then you get a lot more stuff also. All right. So Tristan, I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Thank you very much. It is answered my question.
Thank you.
That was a very good advice, Melvin, because I noticed even among my nephews and nieces that young people these days, when you do something, you don't expect glorification immediately. It is okay to make mistake. It is okay to fail, because and it is, you have to take criticism positively. So
I
this is what I want
totally
to
agree.
advise young people these days, because a lot of my generation don't really take criticism very well. They say you want to condemn them to death. So you need to have a very positive mindset when older people like us who went through life with our experience and knowledge will give you something that you might not get from classes or books.
Exactly. The best lessons are on the street, you know. That's what I always tell my
Before that, I just want to add a few more points. On nutrition, I think I actually split this discussion to 2 points where there are people that I think to be discussing, thinking, and talking about nutrition itself is a privilege. But there are the other half of the people that really cannot afford discussing or even thinking about nutrition, where their main focus is just to fill up their belly in the next meal. So I think on those, while self-growth, learning, getting more education about nutrition is great, when we have covered a lot about it today. But I think maybe we could also talk about some solutions, some creative solutions that have been applied across other nations that are more of a low-hanging fruit. For example, how maybe the government could help to support more entrepreneur or people to drive the consumption of nutritious food. And one of the examples that I see in Singapore is that they help to put a label in which restaurant is clean at some decades ago, and then they move on to also label which food are more healthier than the other. So that helps to enable people that want to have a healthier life choice. Is a lot easier for them to choose nutritious food. I think that's one of the examples that low-hanging fruit that could be done in the governance perspective. And on the other side is education. I grew up learning about we call in Indonesia 4 Sehat 5 Sempurna. So it's like rice, protein, vegetable, fruit, and milk in your consumption daily. But really, as Melvin earlier said, and also Dr. Chuang mentioned about the economy of scales, we don't really have the understanding of what is really nutritious. And we eat rice daily, and most of the food that are readily available in our society and more affordable are more often profit-driven than nutrition-driven. So maybe if we could present more solution in that perspective, that could cover those areas where people that are unable to think and study about nutrition, or unable to reach nutritious food, what could they do, or what could the government do more to help that, or entrepreneur, for example. Then one final point on sustainable food supply. I think most farming or food supply chain nowadays are really more profit driven, and policy has been proven that if we counter policy with the profit, that means that if you try to enforce policy that goes against profit for a lot of governance, is for a lot of companies, it's very hard to enforce. But on a macroscopic scale, maybe there are a better global distribution practice, and to also write on the tech giants how they can change customer behavior. I would name one example. For example, nowadays a lot of people use GrabFood, and we use plastic a lot in delivery. And let's say tech giant could just add one button that says, okay, if you agree to pay 50 cents more, so that each of your delivery meal are covered with a sustainable packaging, that will already help a lot in changing customers' behavior, rather than asking everyone to, let's say, always have to bring your own shopping bag. And I think that's a much harder steps to pursue. Yeah, so those are some of the views that I want to share today.
Thank you, Reno. Anthony, do you have anything to say? Anthony.
Yes, I'm here.
You have question, advice to the students?
I think the student is doing great. I think they can present their view and sharing their point very well. I'm impressed, Adeline. I'm impressed. This is the first time I joined your group. Okay, the final thing is, I think I would just want to pay due respect to all the students or the youth and the professionals down here. I think for Malaysia to start off, I think the government or the administration of Sikkim, I think they have a very good so-called legislations. Maybe can for Malaysia to take a look. I think to start off in Malaysia, I think we need something from the top. I think the NGO, something like Adeline, your team, should be the so-called the person who drive this project with our government, and the youth in the team here should be the executor to execute. I think that will be very well. Government have a blessing, NGO have a organization, and the youth will be the so-called the driver to drive the whole thing. I think it will be fast, and it will be very soon we can see some changes in our society. And yet for all of us now, currently we are in the pandemic, and everyone have lived in a different way of lifestyle in different countries. So I wish everyone to take care of yourself. And I think this type of platform for sharing, I think, is very good. So I think I wish everyone all the best in your future, and hopefully this topic about food and green tech, I think it will be an ongoing topic for fellow Malaysians, especially because I'm living in Malaysia. I hope to see our country improve in certain way, and I'm glad that Adeline, you have invite someone from the government division to join us today. Hopefully they can jot down all the positive notes. Hopefully can reflect to our minister or to anyone in the ministry. I think ministry is more important rather than a minister. Minister can come and go, but the ministry is the one who draft the policy and to ensure that it progress at all times. I think that's more important. So thanks the administration of Sikkim, Mr. Garson. Thank you for our help. I understand Sikkim is a very beautiful area. Okay, so I hope after pandemic I have a chance to visit your area, and I think it's wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you for the time of listening for 1-2 minutes.
Anthony,
Thank you very much.
Anthony,
Yes.
is that a chance that we can work with the police force with your help?
Definitely. That's why I have a different trait in my whole life career. I think this is not the platform for me to share my whole life experience. But I just since Adeline has mentioned about police force, because I get myself involved in authority kind of activities. So to relate back to this topic, I think legislation is very important. Okay, we heard our chef just now from Singapore, Lee. He say he's a guy that he don't follow so-called inverted comma, he don't follow rules and regulations. He follow his style, and so far he's doing well. I think that's great. But in order for something to execute, I think we need a legislation first. We need a law to impose it first. Then from there, we let the public, we let the people living in the country to make adjustment to it, and the legislation can be always being amended to suit the current scenario. That's my view. And then Adeline, to work with the authority, I think we can discuss further, and in near future maybe we can do something for that. No problem.
Make the policemen go to the farming and then do the community.
I think, okay, talk about going back to farming. I think every country we develop since independent, we develop from unity. From unity, we move on to green. And Malaysia in the early 70s, we have the Green Book policy to encourage everyone to start farming and planting for self-sustainability, and to reduce on depending on other countries or other helps. Of course, in Malaysia, we're moving on to industrialization, so on to so-called to strive towards a modern country. I think we have forgotten our basic, that is food that we need to plant ourselves. Okay, so I think due to this pandemic, as what Dr. Chong also shared, that we can do something at our home, even though you have a small apartment, you can do it at a balcony or anywhere you like. I think we can start from there. We can do some pandan leaf, we can do some lemongrass, whatever, which we need to use every day. And it's very costly now in a wet market. It sell about 5 ringgit, 6 ringgit for a small little lemongrass and pandan leaf. So I think if we can plant ourselves, I think we can save a lot of cost at this moment. Thank you.
Any questions from all of you? Any of you? Feel free, just like don't take it as a serious thing. You have a question, feel free to ask. Yeah.
I just want to add on a little bit more, about growing your own food. Many people here, maybe the youth here, they are not familiar with growing things because many probably live in the city. Don't be afraid of it. Once you start just planting something, you will get the hang of it, and then in today's world, you have the internet to help you. You pretty much can learn anything under the sun via the internet. So that is a big advantage you must make use of. There are a lot of experts out there, and actually once you do it by trial and error, you plant something, you may fail the first time, but you pretty much will get it going and be successful very, very fast. Okay. I mean, some of the things that can very easily be grown at home are like chilies, cucumbers, tomatoes, okra, brinjals, eggplants, and many other kinds of beans, like the kacang botol, even jagong, which is maize or corn. These are things that you can produce very fast, and you can grow enough to feed your own family at home, even in a small space, or maybe 10 square feet, 20 square feet. So you just try it first, and then you know how to go from there. Of course, as you get a little bit more, further in with your, getting your hands dirty, so to speak, then you learn about other things. You learn about different ways of planting. Something called fertigation. Where you grow things in plastic bags or whatever. You don't have to have, the old ways of saying that you must have a piece of land, you must till the ground, you must do all kinds of things. Is no longer is necessary. You can even grow things in a plastic bag, putting some cocoa peat in there, as long as you have enough nutrients. Okay, not chemical nutrients. Okay, but organic nutrients in there. You can grow many things. But of course, plants, just like human beings, we need nutrients to grow. So you must continuously put what you throw, discard your organic discards, waste in there, so that they have something to grow on. Okay. Fertigation, of course, is growing things in a plastic bag, but then of course you must drip water onto it, drip, or depending on how you want to apply your fertilizers onto it, and so on. Then there's also, of course, there's aquaponic these days, where you route your water from your fish pond to your plants inside a little pot. Basically, you don't even need soil or even cocoa peat or anything in there. You just have a little plastic container that can hold the plant, and the roots can go into the water and grab the nutrients from the water that is actually fish that flows through your fish pond. So you can grow a lot of things. Actually, you need very little space. And then some of you might even worry and say, hey, if I don't have a outdoor piece of land or balconies or yard, how do I grow indoor? You can even have UV lighting, a lamp, and that will be enough to even for your plant to survive, to grow. So there are many ways to skin a cat these days. Okay, so you can try different things. And like I said, if you get a few enthusiastic friends together, you can even ask to use a public piece of land that is not being used and grow things, get your community involved. Traditionally, we like to, in Malaysia, to depend on the government to lead. Please do not do that. The government will not lead in this country. Okay, you should start your own movement, and basically you would draw the government into dealing with you one way or another. If your movement is big enough, okay, you will influence the government. The private sector will influence the government. The government does not lead your life for you, does not tell you what to do. Okay, so don't sit around and wait for the government to move. If the movement is big enough, the government will pay attention, and the government will have to draw out all kinds of policies to just accommodate you, because it's something good for the country, it's good for the people, and the government will come along and help out. Okay, so take the initiative and do your own thing.
Suhaili, do you have anything to say or to share?
Yes. What I want to share is we should start this food, what we call transforming food system is on the university level. So the student and teachers can grow a plant and then they start planting on their own VJ in the campus. So this is what educational system need nowadays. Urban gardening is doesn't have to stop in our home actually. So in university level also have do the same system. So they need to show an interest in building urban garden, and surrounding on this setting, it will become an ideal place to start a project. First is what we call improving nutrition for student for what we call learn how to grow a fresh fruit and vegetable, which is some of it might be new for them. They might not doesn't know what they eat before. So why teacher provide information about healthy about the meal, so it can be 3-in-1 process, something like that. So we get knowledge, we get improve our moral skill, passion, and we get in the same time we get the nutritious food. So student will benefit from having a school garden, also have a better relationship with surrounding and their meal, and encourage them to increase the fruit and vegetable consumption. So it will be more healthy on them compared to their meal, junk food whatsoever. So this is a good start for them to become more healthier in next generation. That's what I think, and that's from me. Thank you. Thank you, Adeline.
Thank you. And I saw Simon. Simon is working as an IT officer in Food Panda. Would you like to say something? Share some experience? Is the business very good, Food Panda, food supply?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Food Panda, because I work in, the Food Panda that I'm working with actually is, my team handles the whole APAC area, meaning the whole Southeast Asia area. So business is very good. Business is very good. So, but then, that's a trend of, we can see that like the fast food industry, like McDonald's and Pizza Hut or KFC, their orders have actually gone up compared to like the normal restaurants. So it's, in Malaysia, that's what I can see. For other countries, I'm not very sure, but it's something that quite sensitive. Sad it's because people are choosing fast foods instead of like the local restaurants or restaurants nearby their area. So it's something very sad to see. And also I have something I want to add on about the mindset that Chef Melvin has brought up just now, because when we were discussing about food waste, the retailer like Aeons or Tesco's or any major food retailers, because they have habits of packing lots of food, right? They, on their stall, on their shelves, because they want to appear presentable to the customers, so that they will purchase the fruits or vegetables or whatever they are presenting, and it creates habits, or it's causing the customers to be choosing vegetables or fruits that's has lots of options. Like for example, when you go to a Aeon or wherever, if you see that there's only a few selection or even like one bunches of fruit or vegetables on the shelf, you won't purchase it because in your mindset that thing is not good. It's maybe because it's leftover or no one is choosing it because it's spoiled or whatever. But actually, in fact, that it's perfectly fine. But then nobody wants to choose or select or purchase this fruits or vegetables because there's only like one or two options available. So, I mean, on mindset part, we as a consumer, we should have changed it. Like, even though it looks not presentable, but actually, it's something that we need to change our mindset, basically.
I always wonder why they don't price that a little bit lower so people will buy it, you know, rather than maintaining the price and then have to discard them later when they cannot sell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's another point. I mean, because for Aeons or wherever, they're doing business. So profit is their main concern. So when it comes to like just now, Dr. Chan, you were saying that when we are donating, I mean the food retailers or restaurants, they should, when it comes to donating the foods, one of the major issues is logistics because no one wants to pay the cost of the logistics. Like even though restaurants or retailers, they're willingly to contribute or donate all these fruits or these waste foods, who will cover the cost actually? Because to the retailers or restaurants, profit is the most important thing. So they won't care. I mean, they won't cover the cost of donating and logistics of the delivery of these foods. So that's why I was suggesting that for these retailers or restaurants, if they were willingly to donate all these foods, there should be a tax cut for these retailers or restaurants because it promotes it promotes their benefit. I mean, it helps them to push this kind of retailers or restaurants to willingly to cover the cost because maybe the tax cut is much more higher than the cost of the delivery or logistics of this food delivery or the thing. Yeah, that's my point. And also I'm also practicing intermediate diet, which Chef Melvin also just mentioned, which I only take one meal a day. I only eat dinner, so no breakfast, no lunch, because it really comes to how much food you should take. Like, because I'm a very big eater. I mean, I had a really huge meal every day. So, because when I was like younger, I eat a lot. So while I was like studying in my university, I gone through some videos about dieting, and luckily I just came across this intermediate diet, which only take one meal per day, and it really helps me to open my mind about hunger. Because when you are starting practicing this intermediate diet, right, it's really stressful in the morning because you are very hungry, but you can't eat. So it really makes you think about hunger, like why are we wasting so much food? And yeah, it's kind of like helped me to open my eye to this world, like how much food we are actually wasting, especially in US. Actually, every year they are wasting about 800 plus volumes of stadiums, like big stadiums of food, just gone, just throw away. So it's really mind-boggling that why we are doing such, why we're having such problems in the modern world. Like
actually, according to FAO, estimated 1.3 billion tons of food is wasted globally each year.
Yeah, and then we have such a serious famine in Yemen and in other countries, but in developed countries we are wasting food like there's no tomorrow.
But Simon, I would like to ask Miss Tan, whether a meal a day is healthy for young people like you.
Sure. I mean, yeah, because when I first,
I will get the expert to advise you whether.
Yeah, because I was thinking about. I mean, for the first intention, it's just for my self-health. I mean, for my healthy. So I didn't really consult anyone. So
yes, and whether it's like whole day you don't eat, you only eat dinner. That's something. I have questions. So Miss Tan, are you still there? Would you like to advise?
Yes, I'm still here. Yes, intermittent fasting is a very good concept. Okay, so quick and easy answer. So it's a very good concept to help people understanding how much food that you need to eat in a day and how many meals per day. But it helps for people who have craving problem, because I have a lot of patients who have weight issue and then they have craving problem. So after a certain time of the day, they probably is a big eater by the end of the day, because they have emotional eating problems. So by the end of the day, a stressful job, they got home and then they just start eating from 6 o'clock until 12 o'clock in the midnight. So which is intermittent fasting come in to help people who control their portions and also have a set schedule. So whoever who don't skip breakfast or don't eat lunch and just eat a dinner in the day, and then they order the snacking throughout the midnight, and so that can help them to kind of regulate their meal time throughout the day. But for people who have a condition issue, like if you have blood sugar issue, that you probably need to seek for advice from your dietitian and your doctor as well, because you probably have certain medication that you need to take. So you cannot just like not eating and then take your medication. So that's not good too. So everyone is different. So every cases is different. But I mean, like the concept, intermittent fasting, probably you're just doing 16/8 or whatever 24 or maybe whatever time that you use for the time stretch is good. But still, we need to take a look at within that hour how much you've been eating and how often you have been eating, and are you under certain conditions. And I want to add on for grocery shopping, like for the food waste. When I was working in Canada, so we have a very big branch of the grocery store. What they are usually, they recommend people, they develop the app. The app actually can help people to earn certain point. Like every week they come out with a certain food they are on sale. So for example, this week, like because we have summer, we have 4 seasons, right? We have summer, winter, and then fall and spring. So with different season, and then they offer the food with a certain point. Like if you're buying the food locally or you're buying the food in under the season, so you get the point. So the point can actually transfer to your some kind of credit. So the credit can use it for the money that you buy your grocery in the future. So that kind of a way to encourage people using earning the point. If you're buying something healthy, like the box of cereal, a box of like oatmeal, box of like fruit under the season, so then you get the point. So the point can actually change it to the credit later. Then you can use it for using that for your grocery shopping. So that actually can help people to buy more fruit and vegetable. So you can implement some kind of program for grocery store as well. And as well as for encourage the youth for today, and I want to encourage, because Dr. Chung have been talking about a lot of urban gardening. So for me as well, we don't have a big space when we're living in the city, especially those students or young family, they're living in a condo. So I actually encourage doing a lot of container gardening. So you actually can plant your vegetable in a container in your condo. So then you don't need the big space. You don't need the big space, so you can plant your whatever vegetable that you want to plant into your meal plan. Okay, so actually meal plan can help you to reduce food waste as well. So if you have a young family, how many people eating for a week, for a few days or whatever, so then you can actually learn how to plan your meal. So when you start planning your meal, so you can actually reduce food waste as well. So that's kind of like my point, that what I will listen from a lot of different people sharing their ideas. So then that's what I can come up with, like learning meal planning, doing container gardening, those will help you to reduce a lot of food waste, and can help for our food system as well.
Thank you. Any more questions? Saha, do you have any questions? I really want to go to Bhutan. This is my plan, but it's too bad. So how's the condition now? You have a very good king. It's something that we really envy.
Thank you, madam. I want to ask a question to Yeten Tan, madam, for dietitian. Actually, for you, what age should be the correct age to diet? Actually, I'm a little bit confused about her. I don't know. Sometimes I don't eat breakfast, lunch, even dinner. Sometimes I skip meals. Still, then I don't lose my weight. Actually, little bit I'm fat before. Just now I'm losing little bit. Because of that, I want to ask my. I want to lose little bit of weight. So, what age is there? Any range of age there for diet? I want to just ask age range for dieting actually. To do specific diet, we need to have any. We have any range of age for the youth?
Okay, so are you saying that you're skipping your meal, trying to lose weight?
Yes, madam.
And then you are asking.
So, are you going to lose our weight?
And then you're asking, is it a better way to lose weight, or what are you asking?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay, so for my point of view, because everyone cases will be different, so so that's why we do customized nutrition therapy, right? So we have to look at your previous diet. We have to look at your previous health condition. So, like, for example, are you a breakfast eater? Are you a big eater during the dinner times? Are you a snacker? Right? So and then what kind of food selection that you usually make? Who's doing the cooking at home? Is it your mom, yourself? Do you have any nutrition basic knowledge for yourself and things like that? And do you have any food allergy? So lots of different factors that we need to take a look into considerations before we're making the recommendation. So if you want to, honestly, to tell you to lose weight, I tell you, you need to eat enough to lose weight. You have to eat enough, and then your body will starting to lose weight. Because lots of people are thinking, oh, I need to lose weight, I need to cut back here and there. Okay, I start cutting back my breakfast, I'm not eating breakfast, and then I start not eating a lot of this and that, and then you see weight loss in a very short period of time, but you cannot sustain your weight for a long term, because that's what we call, the Melvin has been saying, that we need a lifestyle change. The lifestyle you can sustain for the rest of your life. Okay, so you want to stick to this meal plan for the rest of your life. So if you only can stick to this meal plan, you're skipping meal here and there, cutting some of the, the diet out of foods, your favorite food out from your diet for just 1 or 2 months, you see the result of weight loss, but you cannot sustain. You eat those food back, like you bring those food back into your diet after 3 months, and then you start eating it and you binge eating it, you crave for it. It's not a lifestyle change. So that's why we recommend a lifestyle that you want to choose the food that you can sustain, you can maintain for the rest of your life. So the best thing to do is to start one thing at a time. So start from your breakfast and start learning where's the food come from, and start go into your kitchen and start cooking, start food preparing and meal planning too. Because every single step, my opinion, usually is not about what food you choose.
Can I come in?
Yes. Can I see? Oh, any comment? So I'm saying that it's not about what food that you are choosing, but it's how you eat it, how you making the schedule of your meal, how you cooking it, and how you make the decisions of where the food come from. So all it is, and then your eating behavior as well. And then you come to the making decision what kind of food that you choose for.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we have another 5 minutes more. So any more questions? And I add in, if anyone in Malaysia and you're looking for a piece of land to do farming, to start doing something on planting, you can always talk to Dr. Chuang. He's ready. He got a few parcels of land that he would like to turn into this kind of farming, not business, but it is farming. So if you like to go into this area to start something, you contact Dr. Chuang. Yes, hello.
Okay. Hello and Tashi delay to everyone.
Yes.
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I don't have any questions of any sort. I would just like to take this opportunity to, thank the entire team of ROLF, because I think I feel very fortunate enough to have participated in this beautiful webinar. And moreover, even I come from the Himalayan state of Sikkim, from where Mr. CreatiVision belongs to. And Mr. CreatiVision is a very reputed statesman back in the state. In fact, it was during his tenure as the Minister of Tourism of the state of Sikkim, I think green and eco-friendly tourism got enhanced back then. So yeah, even I am part and parcel of this organic state Sikkim, and in the near future as well, I would love to be part of this beautiful team. And I actually just wanted to extend my gratitude to the entire team, Mr. CreatiVision as well, for involving me in this webinar. Thank you so much. Love from Sikkim.
Thank you. I really hope that you form a team, and then we form a team here. Then we can do more Zoom, on different subjects, so that there's a cultural exchange. So if you can agree with this, then we can start working on this. Mr. CreatiVision, is that okay?
Adeline, can I come in?
Yes, please.
I think there's one message I would like to give to all our young friends. See, in life, we come through a lot of obstacles, success and failure. So what I would like to ask my friends to remember is that every success or failure, you should always take it as an experience. As one would say, success is not forever and failure isn't fatal. So this is one thing you all must keep in mind. The other point I would like to tell our friends, which I've learned through my engagement with all levels of people in politics, because I'm a lawyer, I would have been restricted. But since I'm in politics, and as you know, we've been involved in Shravasti and all that, I've met all levels of people. There's one thing the young people must understand, which makes your life very easy. Every individual has something good. Nobody's perfect. So what I'd ask everyone to see, the young people, is nobody's perfect, but you must find some good quality in that person. They have some quality. You must learn from that quality. You appreciate that quality. Your life becomes much easier. And the other thing is, don't underestimate anybody. This is my knowledge. Everybody has some skill. Some stupid fellow, you may think is stupid or she is stupid, has something which you don't have. So you must learn from that.
Thank you, everyone. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.